Pack, what it do? I definitely might have, let me know if this shit low so I can put the headset on. Reposition the camera ski. Understand me? They like Hootie, his ass a blogger, he won't smoke shit. You can believe whatever you want, I got your folks hit. Stop in, pop in. Let me know what we sound like. Do I need to go ahead and set it or no? Hold up. Matter of fact, I can look up this shit. I know y'all don't want to talk about the what you call, but that boy Joe Biden, that man trip. Talking about pee. I'm doing a sound check real quick. Sound check it. What's good? Y'all can down there hear that motherfucker breathing. This shit loud as hell. I need to get me a thing because I can hear the background noises. Like, what the fuck is that? Probably the let me see if it's this. A little air filter. See how it sound now. It's probably the Xbox and the computer. Shit crazy. See if I can fix this shit. One of these mouths. That shit ain't gonna work, bucko. Hootie Mac, that ain't gonna work. I fucked up the camera. Bear with me, gang. That shit sound horrible too. Everything. Shit look funny or something, right? Let me drop, scoop. Y'all see me tizzling gas up the whip. Yo. Straight lace, no chase. What we on today, man? I need to go turn this motherfucker around immediately. That should be Wesley and Dixie. I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh man, we ain't. That boy talked for an hour and 20-something minutes. Good enough. An hour and 2 minutes. Hell no. I know what we need to do. But y'all don't know what we talking about today, man. Ain't nobody gonna comment and say what we talking about. Y'all want me to pick it? So I damn sure pick it. You know what I'm gonna do. Chopsticks through you. You know what I'm gonna do, you. We ain't watching this whole shit either.
Paycheck. Struck tonight
I just want to hear some
in
shit.
an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work.
Somebody told him he wasn't. He was looking at the monitor too much. He need to look around.
Food went up. It was felt throughout the family.
Now he looking around.
An impact.
They put
That's one of
teleprompters
the
all
first
over the
things I
room,
did
brother.
as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans, helped put food on the table.
We need something to put that in
lines
here.
of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food
While he talking
put in
this
their
shit.
trunk. It cut the cost of healthcare insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind.
Yep.
Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
Man, get the
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years.
No, Joe.
And the first step in bringing
ain't
fundamental
having
change
the
to our
building
economy
to do.
that hasn't worked for working people in this
Crew
nation
pulling
for
up.
too long. For the past 40 years, we were told.
I don't even know if I can listen to Buddy right for real. I really just can't do it today. I don't even know if I can listen to him. You know who I want to listen to though? That I don't mind listening to. That probably roasted it. We're gonna see what he had to say about it. Cause your boy, I'm tired of hearing him talk about a bunch of nothing. We know who's gonna critique that shit real good. What's dude name? What's his name? The fuck is that name, man? Fox. What's Buddy name to be talking that shit? Here you go, right here. We find him. I know he's goddamn me. Roast the Lazesh. Man, what's the dude's name, y'all? I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Not no damn Trump either. Look who they got for the commercial. They petty as hell.
Josh Hawley. Are you going to be there, Senator?
I'm gonna get dude's name and make sure.
No, I'm going to be watching from home, Jesse, like the rest of America, and I imagine it's going to be quite a piece of theater as he tries to explain his terrible record.
Hey, he cringed with it.
So what do you think's going to happen tonight? Is he going to address?
That's why I couldn't. That's why it's like it's hard to watch him now. You know what I'm saying? That man be making me cringe, bro. That's the word I was looking for. I'm glad you said that, because now I can put a word on how I feel when I listen to him. It's cringe worthy. He's cringy. You know what I'm saying? When you watch him, it's just like, ugh, cuz, shut the fuck up. Say something that matter. What is you talking about? Cartier and the motherfucking bitter. Hey, bro, I'm trying to find Buddy, though, who be on this
Address anything, how to reduce gas prices? Is he going to hammer the rush?
Like him, I can't watch him either, for real. Oh, I got this phone on my back. I was trying to hear how I sound, hear if I sound loud enough.
Joe Biden gave energy dominance to Vladimir Putin. He shut down our pipeline, and he opened up Russia's pipeline. That's the...
Anybody know dude's name, man? Here, let me find him. I'm gonna find him. I know they got his name up here somewhere. He damn near the only motherfucker I want to hear. The hell is his name, man? I ain't got no pictures of him up here either. He must. Either this ain't his channel. Oh, here you go.
And today, a very defeated, frankly pathetic looking Joe Biden, well, he sauntered out to the podium 90 minutes late to deliver these very uninspiring remarks. Take a look.
Is his name
And if Russia goes further with this invasion, we stand prepared to go further as with sanctions. Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives him the right to declare new so-called countries on territory that belong to his neighbors? Yesterday,
bro. I cannot watch this. Like, what is it? Where is this? I just saw it too. I know they ain't playing this whole thing. That was a day ago.
President of the United States.
80 years old, bro. He don't got a clue.
Ukrainian people.
He really don't got a clue.
Let's cut energy costs for families. An average of $500 a year by combating Alzheimer's and diabetes. Be stronger a year from now than we are.
They yelling. He did. That boy, that shit probably caught. You know what I mean? That shit probably like took a lot of his energy. That boy had to go lay down after that speech. Here it go, right here. Here it go. I found that mother. You understand me? I can feel it in the air. I can hear it in his voice. I can feel it in the air. Can you feel a Grim Reaper quoting scriptures from Revelations, talking shit and got the devil waiting, soul getting pissed, body elevating. Hold up. This is what I want to hear what he got to say. Like, before I watch Joe Biden, the whole Joe Biden speech, I just wait till it happen and go listen to what he had to say about it. And it's only on like certain people. Like I ain't gonna listen to him talk about everybody. I don't know how he feel about everybody. This is my first time really getting up on him during the World War, and I just like his point of view on how shit, on how he talking and how it's going. He explains it kind of in a a regular person way to where we can understand it. He don't hold it back. He might get to saying some big words and all that, but he's still gonna say it to where you be like, okay, I get what he's saying.
Biden's first official State of the Union is now in the books, and as expected, it was an unmitigated, predictable disaster. Platitudes, bumper stickers, slogans, you name it, filled with smoke and mirrors, detached from reality, seemingly written, to be honest, by a kid in kindergarten, maybe.
I knew he was finna roast his ass, you hear me? Hey, on everything, boy, I knew he was finna go in on his ass. That boy say he ain't say nothing but a bunch of bumper stickers. Them God bless America bumper stickers and all that. He just said a bunch of bumper stickers. Looked like it was wrote by a 7-year-old. Man, he on that boy helmet off the rib. You understand me? Off the rib. God, that's what I want to hear. Let me hear somebody who's gonna not hold back.
Biden's first official State of the Union is now in the books, and as expected, it was an unmitigated, predictable disaster. Platitudes, bumper stickers, slogans, you name it, filled with smoke and mirrors, detached from reality, seemingly written, to be honest, by a kid in kindergarten, maybe first grade if we're being generous. Delivered by someone in a steep mental decline. He failed to acknowledge his Afghan failure. He failed to acknowledge his border failures. He failed to mention his failures on COVID. By the way, how did we run out of tests around Christmas? How come we ran out of monoclonal antibodies over Christmas? He failed to acknowledge that he caused this inflation because of his economic and energy policies.
Yeah,
he failed to say the main sanction that would have worked on Putin, which is, yes, energy.
If I had to guess,
no imports, no exports of Russian energy, but he refuses to do so.
If I had to just guess, I would really just say, like, honestly, at 80 years old, you're too old to be president of the United States. Like, it's okay, to be something else. You can be a Senate, you can be anything, whatever, that where you don't have to make them big decisions like that. Because being that old will make you make decisions that's not always healthy for the for the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to be funny, but like, when my granny got old, grandparents got to that age, they start forgetting shit. They start, you know what I'm saying? Just time undefeated. Put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I ain't trying to come down hard on people that's his age. I'm just saying, like, being the president of the United States is a big responsibility, and I don't think somebody his age should be that. 79 years old, bro, about to be 80. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Do so. Instead, as I said, bumper stickers, slogans, platitudes, cliches. And to be honest, I would have preferred to watch the president of Ukraine, who is now bravely fighting and leading a war against this Russian invasion. And tonight, if the world was looking for any American leadership, they didn't get it from Joe Biden. This speech defined America last, not America first. And by the way, Joe lied over and over and over again. We can start with jobs. Take a look.
Oh yeah, he going in.
That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue.
That's why I want to watch him, right? Because you know what I mean. Like, he'll cut to the scene to where what he talking about. You feel me? He cut to the scene what he talking about. You did, and when he cut to that scene, it just make what he's saying like more solidified, because you be like, is this dude just hating? But then he'll cut to the scene and let you see what it is. Well, what is this? Naked HD online strips without what? Boy, you don't get your hit him with the bleaky. You got to control.
Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
That is a flat-out lie. Under Biden, the U.S. is down 3 million jobs. We're not up. And here's another lie from Biden. Take a look.
Under my plan, nobody, let me say this again,
look at Buddy, when he called him a lie, he put the numbers up there on his ass. He don't be just talking. That's what I'm saying, bro. He tell the truth. Like, he ain't finna just let Biden, like he ain't gonna just say something. That's how I like to do my little blog shit. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna make a bold statement, I'm gonna have some facts behind it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what paralegal Regina come in there, putting the motherfucking wappy bams on their forehead. You did. Yeah.
That is a flat-out lie. Under Biden, the U.S. is down 3 million jobs. We're not up. And here's another lie from Biden. Take a look.
Under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
He's been telling that lie since he became president, but according to the analysts, Biden's spending and tax plans will definitely impact those making under $400,000 a year. And we're not even factoring Biden inflation, which is, well, impacting the poor and the middle class the most in this country. That's right, you're paying more to fill up your car, paying more to heat and cool your home, and you're paying more for every product you buy at every store you go to. And get
this is my first time seeing this shit, y'all. I swear to God. I went to the grocery store today. I wish I still had the goddamn receipt. Goddamn me, you know I'm paying cash. That shit, boy. I'm talking about a motherfucker ain't even had the bottom of the quart filled up. Shit came out to $100 and something $100. The whole bottom of the quart wasn't filled up. I'm talking about one loaf of bread, some eggs, some motherfucking couple little microwave meals, some goddamn chicken, and shit, some seasoned salt. And some juice, $100. Shit crazy, bro, on everything. Well, I said, God damn, y'all dead wrong up in this bitch. And Schnooks, they up in that motherfucker. Busting heads. Go to the grocery store. Next time y'all go to the grocery store, just think about the numbers, what you used to spend, and then look at what it is now. It's crazy, bro. Crazy.
We're now at a 40-year high for inflation. You're paying more for most in this factory and spending and
less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
He's been telling that lie since he became president, but according to the analysts, Biden's spending and tax plans will definitely impact those making under $400,000 a year. And we're not even factoring Biden inflation, which is, well, impacting the poor and the middle class the most in this country. That's right, you're paying more to fill up your car, paying more to heat and cool your home, and you're paying more for every product you buy at every store you go to. And get this, we're now at a 40-year high for inflation. Joe didn't mention that tonight. And according to studies from the Wharton School of Business and the Congressional Budget Office, inflation is costing the typical American family upwards of $5,000 a year, and that number continues to rise. That would be a tax on the poor and the middle class. But tonight, Joe's genius solution to inflation, just spend more money and encourage businesses to lower their costs. Oh, okay, Joe, thanks for the help.
Too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel.
No shit, Sherlock.
I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted.
Joe,
the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went in the buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Lower
Pure
your
fantasy
costs, not your
from the mind of a
wages.
career politician
Who the
who
hell
clearly
he think he
does
is?
not
Hold on, I gotta
understand
pause it real
simple
quick before he
basic
get to talking.
economics.
I gotta pause it before he even get to talking because I want to say something and I don't want him to say it before I say it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's my first time seeing this dude talk about this. I seen the title and I was like, shit, I'm gonna watch that shit with the guys. You know what I'm saying? With the squad, with the pack, with the wolf pack gang, with the fam. You understand me? So this nigga just said, lower the cost of shit, not increase the pay, not increase the giving money. We gonna lower the cost, lower the amount of money we spend on shit. Man, look, he think he finna be able to go to every company and tell them, hey, don't charge shit over this price. That shit ain't finna happen, bucko. Motherfuckers ain't finna listen to your stupid ass. Like, boy, these people got jobs and shit. They paying for this shit. They charging based off what they paying. I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? So if a motherfucker charging went up $2 on some milk, goddamn me, if milk $2 extra, chicken damn sure high as a bitch right now. You go up in there and get some chicken shit, your ass gon' you one person $10 gonna feed one and a half people. You gonna have enough for you and the baby, a kid, 5 and under you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how he think he finna get all these companies to lower their prices, bro. When they prices getting raised on the shit they having to buy. And now without China, and all these other motherfuckers, ain't no telling what all. We was getting a lot of shit from China. You seen a lot of shit said made in China. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look on the back of y'all shit, a lot of it say made in China. So if China get to playing with us, not wanting to, you know, which I'm doubted if they do, because a lot of our money, they need our money. So I'm pretty sure that ain't gonna get in the middle of nothing. But who knows? You know what I'm saying? The oil already becoming a problem. Gas high as hell. I just went and paid under $5 a gallon for some gas. You know what I'm saying? Even though I got to get premium, but it's still $5 a gallon. Come on now. So the shit crazy, man. Like, he not finna be able to get people to drop the prices on the shit they selling, cause it's not your business, Joe. You didn't help them open that business, Joe. If they listen to you, look at his face. Look how he looking. If they listen to him, let me try to zoom in on this shit. If they listen to him, bro, I don't know how to zoom in all the way in on Buddy. I want to get Joe ass. You lucky I can't zoom in on Joe, man. This dude don't got a clue what he doing. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like I can keep it real with y'all and just say like he really don't know what he doing. He think he finna have businesses lower the prices of their shit, instead of get him increasing the amount of money that's being circulated through this motherfucker, increasing people pay, increasing, you know, the bottom, what was that, the whatever that shit is, where people get a job and they make the minimum wage, increasing that shit. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what Buddy got to say.
Really does not pure fantasy.
Costs, not your wages.
Pure
costs, not your wages.
Who the fuck clap for that, bro? Who in the crowd clap for that? We gonna decrease the cost, not your wages, and they clap for that.
I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Pure fantasy from the mind of a career politician who clearly does not understand simple basic fantasy.
Inflation. The factory was closed. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Pure fantasy from the mind of a career politician who clearly does not understand simple basic economics 101 or business. And to that end, Joe Biden just basically all night, Brett Baer nailed it. He repackaged Build Back Broke Better Socialism tonight, and he hoped that nobody would notice. Take a look.
Stop. We are on a tight deadline.
Buddy tweaking and he geeking. You heard? That man said, lower your costs, not your wages. And motherfuckers.
Energy costs for families.
Socialism tonight, and he hoped that nobody would notice. Take a look.
What he said, nobody would notice.
Build Back 101 or business, and to that end, Joe Biden just basically all night, Brett Baer nailed it. He repackaged Build Back Broke Better Socialism tonight, and he hoped that nobody would notice. Take a look.
Let's cut energy costs for families. An average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump.
What Joe didn't tell you, he has put more restrictions on exploration and energy extraction than any president in the modern era. You see it because gas prices are shooting through the roof. They have nearly doubled in the last year, but guess what? New tax credits for electric cars. Great. Biden just bragged about releasing oil from the strategic reserve. And as Joe Manchin said, it is a gimmick at best, will do nothing to curb the prices in any significant way. So make no mistake, Biden's socialist Green New Deal energy plans, they're fraudulent at best. Biden is not making America greener or safer. Instead, he's restricting domestic production of oil and gas. That lowers the world supply of energy. And as the demand remains constant or increases, that just increases the price. And you know what? Every American knows it. And meanwhile, he's outsourcing our energy industry to countries that, by the way, have no EPA, countries that hate America. He's begging OPEC, even Russia, and trying to make a deal with Iran and importing, let's see, 232 million barrels of oil from Russia last year, 1 million barrels of oil from Iran last year, over 600 million barrels of oil from OPEC last year, when we have more natural resources than all of those countries combined. And under Biden, America's crude oil imports from Russia actually doubled. And tonight, despite Putin's ongoing invasion, in spite of his war crimes, the U.S. continues to import 500,000 barrels of oil every single day from Russia. Now, we could produce this oil and gas right here at home. And by the way, he inherited America energy independent and a net exporter of energy. We could be helping our NATO and Western European allies. But Biden put a new pause on oil and gas leases on America the same day that Russia invaded Ukraine, the same exact day. That's why Biden's comments on Ukraine tonight were totally impotent and meaningless. And frankly, I would have heard from President Zelensky, who has shown nothing but courage and bravery in Ukraine. Take a look.
We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble.
Singing the same song you've been singing.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
Joe, they're Ukrainians, they're not Iranians. America, the world, needs a leader, not a grandpa who is up way past his bedtime. And get this, only moments ago, Biden actually was scolding the American people for using COVID-19 as a political wedge. Take a look.
You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the much loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans.
Yeah, remember 2020, Biden ran on a promise he'd shut down the virus. And in 2021, we had more people dead from COVID than 2020. Remember, Joe demanded President Trump resign after 400,000 Americans died from COVID-19. Since he's been president, over 540,000 Americans have died from COVID under his watch. That's a lot more than
it's
Donald
just
Trump.
tools you gotta
And
do.
by the way, after Biden ran out of tests, monoclonal antibodies, antivirals,
Man,
when we
shit
needed them the
crazy,
most
bro.
around Christmas time, and all of a
His
sudden,
ass
Joe
over here.
no
His
longer
ass.
wants to play,
He
politics
like,
with COVID-19.
he
Okay,
already
Joe,
sleep somewhere. I'm
a
telling you.
contributing
That man
factor
be
to
sleeping
Biden's
about 9
COVID
o'clock.
crisis is America's
How
wide
the hell he
open
gonna be
borders.
president?
On that issue, he failed miserably also, and he failed to mention that tonight. Border Patrol made a record 1.9 million arrests at the border under Biden. Of course, we had process and release, no more stay in Mexico, no more building the wall. We have no idea how many millions were not apprehended, but we do know that around 500,000 illegal immigrants were released into the U.S., and they were given free transportation all over the country and preferential treatment. They didn't need COVID tests because Jen Psaki told us they weren't going to be here very long. Really. And we had the overcrowded cages of Joe Biden in the middle of a pandemic. There was no vaccine mandate for illegal immigrants. No tests whatsoever. But now a midterm, conversion, or election year conversion, as we call them. And all of a sudden, Biden wants to secure the border. He also suddenly wants to fund, not defund, the police. After 2 years of defund, dismantle, no bail laws, Joe's decided to turn around, do a complete 180. Take a look.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
Why did you say that when it would have mattered in the summer of 2020 when dozens of Americans died, thousands of American police were hurt, with bricks, rocks, bottles, Molotov cocktails, billions of dollars in property damage, arson and looting. A truly amazing election year conversion, if ever there was one.
This man, bro, hold on, bro. Joe, what is you talking about, Joe? You just lost me with that one for real.
Do a complete 180.
He really just lost me with that one, bro. Like, I ain't got nothing against the police. If y'all in here, I ain't got nothing against y'all. Hands up, don't shoot. I ain't got nothing against the police. Nothing. Hands up, don't shoot though. But I'm just saying, this man just said, we not gonna raise the cost of living raise. We know y'all getting y'all head cracked in the grocery stores and the gas stations and everywhere y'all go. Everything costs a lot more money. We know that. But the answer is not to give y'all more money. It's to lower the cost of shit. That's basically what he said, bro. Like, he gonna be able to go to all these companies and tell them what their price is gonna be, and they gonna do it. Come on, man. It ain't gonna work like that, Joe. It ain't gonna work like that, Joe. Joe, it ain't gonna work like that, Joe. I'm trying to told you, it ain't gonna work like that. Check him out.
Look.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them.
Fund them.
Why didn't you say that when it would have mattered in the summer?
Fund them.
Look, he saw how the people got geeked. He saw how the people got geeked. Look at his eyes, bro. When he see how they get geeked, and he gonna be like, fund them. Just watch this.
It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
Why did you?
You look how he look around the room. Fund them. Oh, y'all like that? Fund them. You like it? Fund them. God damn it. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them. His ass got to looking around like, oh shit, they like that. Fund their ass. Fund them. Give them the bread. Break bread or fake dead. You did. Fund them. Boy, you just
fund the police.
That boy
decided to
turn around
his face, do a complete 180. Take a look.
Playing.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police.
Fund the police.
Fund them.
Oh look, I gotta make the screen
Fund them.
Why did you say that when it would have mattered?
It's to fund the police.
I gotta make the screen big.
Do a complete 180. Take
look at this man.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them.
Fund them.
Fund them.
Why didn't you say that when it would have
man,
mattered in the
bro.
summer of 2020 when dozens of Americans died,
Joe
thousands
tweaking.
of American police were hurt, you know, with bricks,
That
rocks,
man
bottles,
tweaking,
Molotov
bro.
cocktails, billions of dollars in property damage, arson and
Dale, what it
looting.
do?
You know, a
Dale is a
truly amazing
motherfucking Dale.
election year conversion, if
That
ever there
man
was
saying
one. And
anything
it's
for a
no
clap.
surprise after Democrats attempted
Yeah,
to
the VP face,
defund,
she standing up
dismantle,
every chance she
you know,
get
no
clapping.
bail laws.
She just happy to
That
be
police
there.
departments are reporting
She making sure
violent
she
crime
get
is
her
spiked.
stand up on. I can show you every time you say something, she standing her ass up. Look at her.
Issue is not to defund the
And
police.
then the other lady gonna
It's
stand
to
up too,
fund
probably
the
right after
police.
her.
Fund them.
Like one of them, you know, they one stand up, the other one stand up. Clap.
Why didn't you say that when it would have mattered in the summer of 2020 when
That shit
dozens
crazy,
of
bro.
Americans
This is
died,
beyond
thousands
me.
of American police were hurt, you know, with
Buddy
bricks,
said
rocks,
the
bottles,
answer is not to
Molotov
defund the
cocktails,
police.
billions of dollars
Fund
in
them.
property damage, arson and
Fund
looting.
them.
You know, a
He
truly
did the
amazing
motherfucking- he
election
did the
year conversion, if
motherfucking,
ever there was one. And it's no
What's the- I
surprise
forgot
after
dude's
Democrats
name, man.
attempted to
Goddamn, you know
defund,
what I'm talking
dismantle, you know, no bail laws, that police departments are reporting violent crime is spiking,
man said
especially in
funded.
every major American city. 12 major cities just set an all-time
Great.
high for murder. Great job, Joe. And tonight you might have noticed something interesting. Biden did not mention any accomplishments, none whatsoever, because there are none. A barrel of oil tonight is at $107 per barrel. Inflation is at a 40-year high. Crime is spiking. We still have open borders. We still have record-setting COVID deaths. No real mention at all of Afghanistan, where he abandoned Americans, people with American green cards, our Afghan allies. And guess what? It's day 199. Americans held behind enemy lines. And Joe just turned the page. The media mob has turned the page as well. And as for that unity that Joe promised last year, according to a recent poll, more Americans say Biden is dividing the country, and he's rather than unifying the country. And according to a Georgetown survey, voters say politics is less civil 1 year into this Biden term. So instead of listing accomplishments, that usually kind of happens during a State of the Union, Biden just read off a wish list of far-left socialist proposals that they made before. Everything from entitlements to solar panels, and even David Axelrod, top Democrat under Obama,
you know,
he had
Obama
to tweet out,
always
quote,
used to be
it's
like,
hard to avoid making a State of the Union sound like a laundry
that.
list. The tide did not turn tonight. But once I agree with David Axelrod. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most.
It's crazy, bro. On anything, buddy.
All eyes are on you.
Buddy, bumped his head somewhere.
I think we're unique. President of the United States.
Look, this little look right here just get on my nerves. I don't know why, bro. This shit right here get on my goddamn nerves. Look at this motherfucker, man. Damn, how I zoom in on his ass. But do I gotta put the thing there? Nope, that don't work. That didn't get on. That shit make me mad for some reason. Look at this, that little green right there. See, look at that little green. He got P. Fox in the building. What to do? Look at that little green he got, bro. That's that shit-eating green. And I don't know what I'm doing. What the hell? How the hell did I get here? Green. If you notice, look at the crowd. Most people got the same green. It's a few of them that, you know what I'm saying, that's not smiling. Damn, buddy right here, like his shit censored out. Like it's a blur over his mouth. Wow, what the hell is this? What is looking at now? See, I'm looking too deep into this shit. Like they be saying some of these people be aliens and shit and robots. That shit crazy. Funding. Look at this shit, man. Bro, we 80. That man changing his clothes. How the hell he gonna be the president? That man probably got like 1 year left before he need a nursing home. But he the president. This is something now I'm starting to really realize, like, you know, like this shit is getting where it's really starting to look like a puppet show. You know, I know strings being pulled on him, but it's like they now they trying to make it obvious. You feel me? Fund them. You know what I mean? Fund them. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them. This man said, fund them. Looked around. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them. That shit noodles, man. Like I can't rock like that.
Games, and tonight I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
That's what I do want to hear him say. What he got to say about
No more. The United
Look at him. They don't believe him.
Making Putin 630 than he has ever been.
Let's see.
We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning. Matters.
I want to see
American resolve matters. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world. Ukraine. Thank you.
He got props.
Thank you.
One of his people from Ukraine, he told him to stand up, salute. Oh shit. Exactly, bro. That man's still eating poached eggs and shit. No offense to anybody that eat poached eggs, but you know what I'm saying? That's like what you call it, eating brown swagger. My granddad used to eat that shit. Hot head cheese and shit. I used to eat hot head cheese.
We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos.
I gotta hear this shit.
They keep moving.
Don't get it. I ain't gonna listen to this whole speech. I just want to hear what he got to say about Ukraine.
Keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine
Mr. Chelsea in the building with a dude, Brody.
and totally unprovoked.
Can't call it, might spoil it,
He
man.
rejected
We trying to fund the police,
efforts at diplomacy.
That's what Biden said.
He thought the West
Keep the
and
people
NATO
broke,
wouldn't
but fund
respond.
the police.
He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin.
Funding them?
Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning, and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been.
Which means he ain't got nothing to lose. So we need to go get his ass before he start nuking shit.
Together.
This the first. This is like the first. This the first. We had 6 minutes.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions.
As soon as we done talking about Ukraine, we off his ass.
International financial system.
I just want to hear what he
preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering. But let me be clear, our forces are not engaged and will not engage in a conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch. And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months.
So basically, he's telling me,
Putin has unleashed violence and chaos.
Did I hear that right?
But while he may make gains on the battlefield,
hold on,
he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run.
To my niggas that be ain't here with
pound of Ukrainian people, proud.
We'll run this shit back real quick. Seemed like he said, Putin, we're gonna let you take Ukraine, Europe, but you can't come past that. Come on, bruh. You're gonna make Europe turn against your ass. That's probably all Putin wanted to do.
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with protect NATO countries, including Poland, remain engaged and will not engage in the conflict.
Okay, here we go. We say we ain't engaged and we ain't gonna engage.
Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
You know what he on, right? You know what he on.
We're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage.
He falling
the
for the trap.
next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. and a pound of Ukrainian people,
don't care about y'all
proud
monies.
people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have.
Don't care about
They've
the
known 30 years of
monies.
independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate
Yeah,
anyone
tanks.
who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans,
Choppers.
I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the
Stumbling and
world.
mumbling.
And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will
It
lead
is the
that
price
effort,
gonna drop with the gas. I
releasing
just paid
30 million
$5.
barrels of our
Yeah.
strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Well,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he gonna let him take Ukraine. He said, they ain't gonna fight for Ukraine, Europe.
while it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around
Where
the
is
world,
this unity?
even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans, who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world.
Why would you even give him a chance to? Why even give him a chance to do it? To make, he might give him the love and shield. He go over there and do better than what they're doing.
We meet tonight in an America who's lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced.
All of them shit.
The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more.
What you gonna do about it, Joe?
I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's one of the first things I did as president, was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk. It cut the cost of healthcare insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
You just saw that was a goddamn lie.
5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years.
You just saw that boy a goddamn
the first
lie.
step in bringing fundamental change.
Whoever in here that wasn't in here, he ain't create more jobs or shit. That man lying. Why the fuck you lying? Oh my God. Stop your fucking lying.
Change our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40
Look,
more
look
jobs.
at the people's face.
Insurance. And as my dad
People's
used to
face
say,
tell
it
it all.
gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2
Just a
trillion
little
tax
bit of
cut
breathing
passed in the
room,
previous
bro.
administration.
Motherfucker need more than that, Joe.
Of Americans. The American Rescue Plan.
Only motherfuckers that, hold on.
The American
What do you
Rescue
say?
Plan.
Only motherfuckers that
helped
booed his
working
ass, only
people
motherfuckers that
and
don't
left
do
no
the people did the
administration that
PPPPP.
benefited the top 1% of them.
That made me wish I would
Unlike
have
the
did. And he said he
$2
got
trillion
people
tax
getting
cut
on their
passed in the
ass.
previous administration that benefited the top 1%
Now he wanted to get on
of
the
Americans.
PPP.
The American Rescue Plan.
Whole war going
The
on.
American Rescue Plan
You need to be
helped
worried
working
about poo
people
poo poo.
and left no one behind. Folks,
Oh no.
and it worked. It worked.
I already know what's going on. I'm saying Joe is avoiding conflict because he's trying, and he just ain't doing. He ain't gonna do nothing but let the people let them get stronger. Like, man, look, he know if he take over Ukraine, that's like it's gonna be it's millions of people there. So we won't be able to strike Ukraine, or if we do, we'll be bogus as hell to strike Ukraine, killing the innocent people there that we know was riding with us anyway. So what if they take all the people to Ukraine and then strike our ass, and they just striking Russia? He didn't got all his people up out of there though. His people in Ukraine, you feel me? Somewhere where they won't strike. It could be a whole bunch of shit going on, man. This shit just ain't. It ain't making sense. Right, man. They in there. They can't pay attention to this shit. That's what we trying to figure out, Glez. This shit trash. I want to see what he had to say about Ukraine.
It worked.
Look at the people, though.
Created jobs,
None of them
lots of
motherfuckers in there
jobs.
believe
In
that
fact,
shit.
our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year.
Lie.
More jobs in 1 year.
Look at the black person to the right. Hold up. Look at the black lady on the right. Let me see if I can zoom in on her. Damn. Don't let me zoom in on them. That lady on the right looking like this nigga lying like a motherfucker. Fuck, you mean?
History of the United States of America.
Nobody, look at all the people that ain't clapping, bro. There's way more people not clapping, sitting down, just looking at his dumb ass than it is clapping. Them the people who in his pocket, the ones that standing up clapping, all their ass old as hell. Look at them. It's crazy, bro. We doomed. Yeah, they ain't fucking with none of that. They like, we ain't on none of that, Joe.
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. Tax rates are up in the middle out. Now,
I think that's it. That was the first 15 minutes. This right here is like economy shit. We ain't shit.
4,000 projects of taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America. We're going to do it by buying American. Buy American products. A law on the book.
This man off that motherfucking snuff. That man off big snuff, you hear me? He ain't on nothing.
Welcome to
next one. Let's see what they're talking about over there. They say they captured some Russian some shit.
Captured a Russian rocket launcher as Kremlin forces continue to meet heavy resistance in the attack on Ukraine. The Russian TOS-1A thermobaric rocket launcher was reportedly captured by the Ukrainian army on Tuesday afternoon. An image posted on Twitter showed the heavy military weapon in an unspecified location. The rocket launch.
See, I don't like watching this type of shit. This that just making up some shit. He ain't talking about Nathaniels. He making up shit. Phone them. His ass making up shit, bro. I want to see the footage. I got more people lining up for them splickies.
Раз, два, три, четыре, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
This language? Got it.
Yes! Yes, блядь! Два! 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 Сбили, сука!
That boy was happy than the bit in this. Was that just a flare or did he hit something? Oh yeah, that's smoke. He hit something right there. Oh, the other helicopter about to run into him. They dropping flare after flare, boy. Like, boy, let me up out of here, good. Yeah, I seen he looked like he did get his ass knocked. Looked like he did get his noodles loosened. Wet noodles.
A lot of my friends, the mothers with children, are in the cellars and the garages. The kids are crying, the babushka's sick, people are tired. The men are signing up by tens of thousands to defend Ukraine. Old guys, young guys, fat guys, skinny guys, everybody to defend Ukraine, a lot with no military experience. And I'm tired of reading these reports and seeing what the Russians are doing to the Ukrainians. And I think the Russians shouldn't come. They should, the mothers in Russia should ask themselves, do they want their boys to die in this black Ukrainian soil? This is not important. I am not Ukrainian, I am Turkish man. When I am living in country or not important, it's my place. It's not important. I have work, I have life, I am living in Ukraine.
Random people coming out there fighting.
Емоції сьогодні дуже
They probably can't even pass through the fitness test.
Зараз відбувається в нашій державі, це надихає. Наші люди неймовірні, наші жінки, вони просто прекрасні, наші діти співають гімн, наші вояки, це щось занадто, знаєте, емоцій дуже багато. І ця спайка людей, те, що ми один плечо плюс це щось неймовірне. Неймовірне, за це стоїть. Ціна буде, мабуть, і велика. Хотілося б, щоб життя зберігалося, але це того стоїть. Так.
Put the kids in there, and we going to work. No baptism.
Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, with a population of around 1.4 million, has been at the center of Russia's military aggression this week. Now on Tuesday, the city came under heavy missile strikes. In the aftermath of the bombardments, Kharkiv's residents helped emergency service workers take dead bodies out of the damaged buildings. Dead bodies were seen on the streets. Eyewitness videos showed wrecked buildings with no windows, fallen trees, power lines. The head of the local hospital said that many children were also injured. The hospital, which also serves as the bomb shelter, was damaged in the shockwave.
Вон попадание вот туда вот, завод. Взрывной волной вынесло все к чертовой матери. Вот все, что я могу сказать. Есть раненые, тяжело раненые. Из этих тяжело раненых есть 2 детей, которых отвезли в больницу. Но персонал, местное население, общими усилиями мы все это сделали.
Missiles struck the very heart of the city in the Freedom Square, just outside the regional administration offices of Kharkiv. Video footage showed a missile hitting the local government building and then exploding, causing a massive fireball.
Damn. Yeah, that boy dead wrong.
At least 10 people were killed, 35 wounded in the strikes. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky accused Russia of war crimes for bombing the city.
They're trying to catch where he had and bomb
Shelling
him.
into the Central Square is blatant, unconcealed terror.
That's why they took the internet out.
No one will forget.
They took the internet out.
The strike against Kharkiv is a war
and
crime.
probably left internet up in
This is
certain
state
places where you have
terrorism
to
on
go
the part
to.
of Russia. After this, Russia is obviously a terrorist state, and it must be official.
Putin old ass don't
The
know they got
regional head
Wi-Fi.
Kharkiv said on Tuesday that the city's defense was holding despite Russia launching cruise missiles against the city. In the city of Zhytomyr, located in the northern Ukraine, 4 people were killed when residential buildings here were hit by Russian cruise missiles, which were reportedly aimed at a nearby airbase. And now for more on this, we are being joined by David Mofo, who is a professor and a specialist in history and contemporary politics of Belarus and Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, there have been numerous civilian infrastructure and residential areas that have been attacked by the Russian forces, even though Russia claimed that their target was only military bases and infrastructure. What do you think of this?
They're trying to get the president.
The war has begun to escalate, and I think it's begun to escalate because Russia has not achieved its targets as quickly as it intended to do. And Putin is getting rather frustrated by a number of things. I think he's frustrated by the resistance put up by the Ukrainians, the fact that most of the world is unified against Russia to condemn this attack, and also the sanctions that have been imposed have already hit Russia quite hard in terms of the collapse of the currency, the closure of the stock market, people emptying their bank accounts. And this is after just a week of war.
Can you imagine how much money motherfuckers got in them stocks that they made?
Stepping up and hit more civilian targets.
They probably like
fuck Putin. We can expect more missiles in the days ahead.
All right. Now you're right, absolutely. The Ukrainian resistance has proved to be stronger and more resilient than what was expected. Now, how long do you think Ukraine will be able to hold off Russian forces? Allies are sending in more military aid. Do you think these will be able to help Ukrainian forces and the people that have now taken up arms?
Yeah, it's all a question of timing, whether Russia is in a position to capture the major cities such as Kiev before this aid arrives. But certainly, I think Ukrainians outside the military as well, even civilians, are taking part in this war, making Molotov cocktails. Everybody seems to be unified and doing their bit against the invader. And
I'm in the red like a motherfucker, bro.
You just showed on your screens there.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I suppose that I'm in the red. It don't matter. Once you get the money, it's over.
Country is behind it.
But boy, I went up so high. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I'd never be like,
and even if it
come down to the point where I feel like I'm mad. I'm mad. That's why I'm mad at Biden, bro. That's why I don't like Biden, because I feel like he fucked everything up.
I mean, none of these things are very clear yet. And Russia, I don't think is going to have a very easy time with this war.
Right. Now, yesterday we also saw that he rejected President Zelensky's request of immediate membership. What do you make of this decision?
I don't think it was expected from the EU that they would give immediate membership. They've never done that. They offered Ukraine associate membership about 9 years ago. But Ukraine is not quite
I was killing shit, Dale. You hear me?
to join the EU.
I'm talking about averaging 2-3 grand a day for a year straight.
Very old. Some of the equipment was outdated. There's a lot of corruption in Ukrainian society. Now, usually the criteria for entering the UN are for a more democratic
2-3 grand profit a day, averaging to losing 2-3 grand, 5 grand, 6 grand a day.
So if it was accepted
now I'm stuck with the whole because I,
motherfuckers
sell you
for the usual reasons. But I do think
I want to buy more. But shit, you scared to buy more, you know what I'm saying? Average, you know how to average the price down?
Ukraine would have a chance.
Because I was doing that and that shit kept going down. I'm like, man, I might as well wait till it go back to go all
President
the
Joe
way
Biden
down.
must make Vladimir
Even though a
Putin pay the
motherfucker
price
don't
for
know this shit,
Russia's
I'm like,
invasion
man,
of
fuck that. The
Ukraine.
stock market
His
fucked up.
State
I'm
of the
gonna wait
Union
on
address.
Biden
Now,
ass to
what
get out the
form of aid
presidency.
should we expect from the United States and the West going forward?
I think
Tesla the only motherfucker that's been holding me up.
In terms of loans and funds. Also,
even Roblox went down. Roblox I thought was going to be
already to Ukraine.
One of the
Ukraine
good
will be
guys.
well equipped, it will be well armed, and it will be well supported. But the line will be drawn, I think, at direct intervention. At the moment, I cannot see.
You got to catch a good IPO, buy it and sell it the same day, and they're going to give you a flag on it if you don't do it right.
In a war. It could happen, say, on a volunteer
I started not even caring about the flags. Like, fuck it.
from different countries could go to Ukraine to fight on the Ukrainian side. But I think there is a limitation to what the Europeans and Americans will do in terms of direct intervention. And the reason being, of course,
man, bro, I wish I would have cashed out, bro, so much. I wish I would have cashed out so bad.
There was an intervention by NATO in this conflict.
Before Biden got all the way in, before Biden got in there for real.
Thank you so much for joining us with your
I was
assessment of the
up
situation.
over 100 bands in less than.
Beyond is now available in your
about
country.
less
Download
than
the app
6,
now.
7
Get
months,
all the
8,
news
9
on
months,
the
and shit
move.
like that. 100 grand profit. I'm talking about it wasn't even a full year.
Fox News seniors.
And I'm up, you know what I'm saying, over 100 bands. I'm just like, oh shit, at this rate I'll be a millionaire in no time. Here come Biden. And I'm thinking like, I'm like, it can't affect it that bad. It can't be, you know, it can't mess it up that bad. Man, I'm talking about everything went to shit. To the point where I'm just like, man, ain't no way. Shit all bad. Stock market all bad. It's a good time for people to buy because everything cheap as hell. So if you get in the stock market right now, it's a good time. But for the people that been in there, shit, it's crazy right now. I'm trying to rethink my whole strategy. I might go green. Biden talking about he gonna do something to try to change the economy, so it might be time to buy all electric vehicles and then, you know, anything that's saving emission, you know, that's helping save the earth type shit. You know how that shit go. You gotta kind of go with the flow. Go with the flow of the people, of the motherfucking presidents and all that. I'm gonna start getting into that shit too with the stocks. On her. Ted Cruz slams Biden's State of the Union speech. Let me hear.
Here with reaction, we have Texas Senator Ted Cruz is with us. Ted, I saw you.
This is his buddy. He got shit. I thought he was a slammer. He got another slammer with him. Let's see what he time about. Hey, in a minute they gonna need Tesla though. You hear me? They gonna need Tesla because Tesla been ahead of the game with all that shit. Talking about putting niggas cribs and like he been putting that shit on people's houses. You know, you could order that shit from Tesla from years and years ago. So they gonna have to go see Tesla. You know what I'm saying? I believe he got that computer chip in his brain. He's smart, so he just sitting back knowing like, oh, okay, eventually they're gonna have to holler at me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But yeah, a lot of people like it's by 2035 they're gonna stop making gas vehicles. Period. So you know it's gonna be forced upon the people anyway. That's why I started buying that shit. But shit, that shit went down too. Lucid Motors and all that.
You're kind of looking around a little bit. You looked a little bored to me, but it seems like if I were to sum this up, ignore all the failure, give out a lot of bumper stickers, slogans, platitudes, and not address what's actually happening in the world. More specifically, the one sanction that would work as it relates to Russia and Ukraine, and that, of course, would be stopping the importation and exportation of any energy by Vladimir Putin.
They might be causing the earth to be like that.
Sean, I think that's exactly right. You know, tonight was the 10th State of the Union that I've been on the floor of the House of Representatives to hear from the third different president. And this was the most out-of-the-touch State of the Union speech that I have ever heard. Biden went through a litany of acknowledging some of the problems we face in this country, but utterly denying any responsibility, any culpability for it. So he acknowledged galloping inflation, but didn't say a word about the trillions in spending and trillions of debt he rammed through that caused that inflation. He acknowledged gas prices are skyrocketing, but didn't say a word about the war on domestic energy production that his administration led. He acknowledged the need to secure our southern border, but didn't say a word about the failure of his administration to enforce the laws leading to the highest rate of illegal immigration in 61 years. On Ukraine, he acknowledged Russia's invasion, but didn't say a word about the disastrous weakness from his administration, the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan, or his decision to waive sanctions on Russia on Putin's Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which is what directly led to this invasion. On every issue, he was like Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I see nothing, I hear nothing. With him, that may be right, but he denied any and all culpability. And I'll tell you 4 words that I didn't hear at all tonight. I didn't hear crime. He didn't acknowledge the crime rate that is soaring across this country, the murder rate that is soaring across this country because of the Democrats' push to abolish the police. He didn't say the word China even once. It was stunning that China is the greatest geopolitical threat facing the United States, and somehow it didn't make it into the speech. He didn't say Afghanistan. He didn't even acknowledge the disgraceful surrender and retreat that he led. And he didn't say Israel. That was really striking in a State of the Union. I think it was really a disappointing speech.
Let me ask you, why do you think he didn't mention Afghanistan and China, for example? I agree with your assessment completely. And frankly, we're watching the territorial ambitions of Putin unfold worldwide. I would expect that China, probably in pretty short order, is going to reunify their words with Taiwan and basically take over that country. And I don't think Joe Biden or any country in the world is going to lift a finger to stop China.
Now that's exactly right. The Russian invasion of Ukraine was caused by 2 things. Number one, last year, Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, his surrender to the Taliban, his leaving Americans behind, his abandoning Bagram airfield.
We gotta switch it. Hold on, bro. We gonna go look at this shit that Dale. Hold up, let me see. Dale just put me up on this. China got an artificial sun, and I just go find this motherfucker real quick, and they launched it into the sky. I guess this is it right here. Let's see, I'm gonna turn to mute it because I don't know if it's copyrighting or what. Bruh. I don't know if that's real or not, but that's crazy if they do. Hold on, let's look at another one we can listen to.
Is among the biggest challenges that China faces, and to counter that, it has commissioned its super powerful nuclear fusion reactor research facility called HL-2M Tokamak. Given that it operates at a temperature 10 times more than the sun, it has been dubbed China's artificial sun. The artificial sun is China's new generation and most advanced nuclear fusion reactor. It was powered for the first time on Friday. China is one of the world's largest economies and is heavily reliant on industries, making it the world's largest contributor to carbon dioxide emissions. In 2018, the country produced 0.06 billion metric tons of the greenhouse gas, according to a global carbon project data released in October this year.
Shit, man, it's fucking
To significant.
God damn, I hope that ain't no copyrighted shit in the background. And he ha ha Damien, shit like that. He ha Damien. Yeah, they got this motherfucker though, bro. Motherfucker, artificial sun and hypersonic. China reportedly tested nuclear-capable hypersonic missile. Oh, that's a hypersonic missile. That's probably the sun that they tested that they thought was the missile.
There's another report the country recently tested a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile. CNN's Brian Todd is working.
Stop playing, bro.
Would soon be able to deploy.
Motherfucker better act like they know what's going on in the world, dog.
Much harder to detect.
Motherfucker better stop acting like China and Russia ain't got that work, dog.
Following a report of a possibly ominous missile test. The Financial Times, citing unnamed sources briefed on the intelligence, reports China tested a nuclear-capable hypersonic missile in August. The report says the missile circled the Earth before speeding toward its target, demonstrating an advanced capability in space that, quote, caught U.S. intelligence by surprise. Today, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, while not commenting specifically on the Financial Times report, said this.
Let me show you something about the satellite shit. Them satellites, bro. I'm gonna show you something about them satellites.
And advanced capabilities in systems that will only increase tensions in the region.
China denies testing a hypersonic missile, saying the test was a, quote, routine spacecraft experiment, and implying it was for civilian purposes. But analysts say
show you something about them satellites. That's what they got for them satellites, bro. They got shit that's made specifically to take out satellites. When they start using that shit, that's when shit get real. When they take out some satellites and shit that make them, and ain't no telling that they already took out. He probably took out something that was above Russia, like that's our shit. Y'all can't be looking down to that spying on us. Fuck you talking about? You know, dude was a KGB agent, so he heavy on the privacy. You know what I mean? And like.
Hello everyone. You are watching another episode of Military Gear. According to a Russian state media report, the 50 has successfully completed state trials, and it has entered combat duty.
They got music in that shit too, so I got the muted and unmuted.
Vehicles and hypersonic targets at altitudes of tens of thousands of kilometers.
That's crazy. I'm telling you, they got shit for us, bro. That motherfucker right there, take the satellites out. That ain't nuking shit. Know what I mean? This shit crazy, bro. Like we ain't the only ones getting money. There's no defense for this missile. The hypersonic shit, man. Like if buddies start using them bitches, we done. Because you can't. Russian bomber touches down on America's doorstep. Let's see what they talking about. This old though, so I don't know what they talking about. This 2018, but this probably like this is like in the 48 laws of power shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to make the first move in war, but if your enemy don't want to make the first move, you dangle some bait in front of them so you can make them make the first move. So say America would have shot down a Russian bomber. Just notice they said they was on America's doorstep, not really in America. So they probably would have been, Putin would have been like, hey, we didn't come in y'all area. We was right here on, you know what I'm saying, on the outskirts. Y'all, that's an act of war. We at war. You know what I'm saying? And he also could have been seeing if they would let him even get that close. You know what I mean? And that motherfucker nuclear capable bomber. shit ain't all good. This shit been getting real with them.
Military tensions between the tonight, new details emerging on the escalating military tensions between the U.S. and Russia as Pentagon officials game out a response to Russian aggression in Europe. Vladimir Putin is now making some serious moves in the Caribbean. Brian Todd is all over the story for us. Give us the latest, Brian.
Wolf, tonight Putin is on America's doorstep with nuclear-capable bombers that can fly at twice the speed of sound. It's a bold move right out of the Cold War as the Russian president tries to establish a military foothold near American shores.
Tucked and ducked.
A Russian bomber with an impressive wingspan touches down at America's doorstep. The Tu-160 has to deploy parachutes to slow down. Russian pilots, decked out in helmets and orange jumpsuits, climb out to a hero's welcome. Two of these bombers, nicknamed Blackjacks, are in Venezuela tonight. Vladimir Putin has deployed these warplanes, along with two support aircraft, to conduct exercises over the Caribbean with Venezuelan forces. A worrisome development for Washington, considering the capability of the Russian bombers, which can fly twice the speed of sound.
This bomber was designed to do both high altitude and low altitude penetration of airspace with nuclear weapons, to deliver nuclear weapons on target. This aircraft was designed to be an offensive capable weapon to get into our airspace during the Cold War.
The deployment comes on the heels of Putin's recent military aggressions against Ukraine on land and sea, and countermoves by U.S. forces. Analysts say Putin is sending an unmistakable signal to the United States tonight.
He's clearly trying to send a message to the United States.
What I just say? I ain't never seen this video now. We breaking it down together. What I just say, man, he's trying to send a little messages to the United States and his nation, isn't that me? Like, play, you lay. You understand me? Sleep, we creep. You dig? Snooze, you lose. Yeah, you know.
That he can play in our backyard, and that Russia maintains significant military capabilities.
Another concern tonight is the Cold War-style alliance of two strongmen who are both antagonists of the U.S. Putin and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who visited Moscow just last week. Experts say U.S. military and intelligence officials are closely watching the Putin-Maduro partnership and how it may work against American interests close to American shores.
They have a close military relationship. Russia does provide Venezuela with significant military support. Usually with these close military relationships, a close intelligence relationship is part of that.
The Russian deployment comes as Venezuela is deep in crisis, triggered by plummeting oil prices, crippling economic mismanagement, and violent protests against Maduro. U.S. officials tonight are skewering Putin and Maduro. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeting, "The Russian and Venezuelan people should see this for what it is. Two corrupt governments squandering public funds and squelching liberty and freedom while their people suffer." Putin's spokesman fired back.
It's probably not very appropriate to make such statements when you were a country with a military budget so big that half of it could feed the whole continent of Africa.
Analysts say none of this will stop Vladimir Putin from once again trying to gain a Russian foothold in America's hemisphere.
Putin has
listen, man.
Made it very clear through his actions and through his commentary that he intends to reestablish Russia to the level of influence of the Soviet Union.
Now, just a short time ago, Venezuela's foreign minister leveled his own broadsides at the U.S., calling Mike Pompeo's tweet, quote, disrespectful and cynical. He pointed out that it was President Trump who publicly threatened military intervention against Venezuela. Now, analysts say we can expect military cat and mouse games to continue while those Russian bombers are deployed in Venezuela. They say U.S. forces will almost assuredly send out surveillance planes, possibly vessels, to shadow the Russians and Venezuelans. Pentagon officials will only tell CNN that they are monitoring these exercises.
Wolf and Brian, that will potentially give the Venezuelans and the Russians some intelligence of their own, right?
Absolutely, Wolf. Experts say as U.S. planes and ships monitor these joint Russian-Venezuelan exercises, and the Russians and Venezuelans, well, they're going to gather intelligence on the Americans, on their spying and shadowing capabilities, and try to figure out how.
Let me see what they're doing. Just checking out some little shit, man. Research purposes with the gang. This is a video about the Russia versus our nuclear capabilities.
Last week, we got an unprecedented look at the U.S. nuclear operations inside STRATCOM.
They ain't gonna show us.
Send it on its way. So it's like the chamber of the weapon to release and send.
So he did this shit. So Putin already invaded Ukraine before. What the fuck? What the fuck, cuz? Did I just hear what I heard? Or did I just hear what I heard? So they already masked up for the fast buck. They already bust their mother. She big. It's time to stuff one on that note. That's crazy. Who'da thunk it?
An internet.
Damn it, I hit the wrong button. Glad I ain't in the thing. You understand me? Oh, man, we right back like we left some history. Binkity. We back. Cut up, whore. I think this 2016, I believe, yeah, this 2016, and they talking about this shit. So Putin been, like I said the other day, Putin been planning this shit for years, and here we go. Singing the same song. Somebody gonna bring out the nukes if they interfere, and we ain't interfering. And we said we weren't gonna interfere. He said we ain't gonna interfere as long as they don't come towards the NATO countries. Which I thought Ukraine would just sign the paper to become a NATO country, but maybe they ain't. I don't know. We'll see how it go. They say it could take years to come into play.
100 miles. Joining me now is David Martin, senior national security correspondent, and the correspondent on this piece, along with Hans Christensen, who is also, you saw in that piece, the director of the Nuclear Information Project at the Federation of American Scientists. Welcome to you both. David, let me start with you. This feels like the threat is as real as it was back in the days of the Cold War, or is it different this time?
Well, it's different. Back in the days of the Cold War, what everybody worried about was all-out nuclear war. Now what they're talking about is the likelihood that a nuclear weapon will be used somewhere in the world. Obviously, a terrorist group could get one, but there are other countries that are working on nuclear weapons. And since the Cold War, countries like India and Pakistan have become nuclear powers. But the real concern, at least as far as the U.S. Strategic Command is concerned, which is the command that's in charge of American nuclear weapons, is that Russian military doctrine seems to be changing in a way that makes the...
Do it. Damn. I hope that ain't give me no policy violation because it ain't saying it on my shit. That's crazy. Let me see. Can y'all, is we still live though? Yeah, well, you know what that means. I mean, they ass. Shit is real in the field. I ain't going for that. They said, boy, I cut that shit off. Oh, we was listening to this dude, Ted.
Bagram Airfield releasing terrorists, which led to the murder of 13 servicemen and women. And what happened, Sean, is enemies of America across the world, enemies like Russia, like China, like North Korea and Iran, they all looked to Washington. And they took the measure of the man in the Oval Office. And unfortunately, they concluded that he was weak, and feckless and ineffective. And I said at the time, the chances of a Russian invasion of Ukraine have just increased tenfold, and as you just referenced, the chances of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan have increased tenfold. That when the American president is weak, and when he's perceived as weak, our enemies are emboldened and the world's more dangerous. Now, there's a lot we could be doing on Ukraine right now. And you made reference in your opening monologue to the most important step we could do right now, which is boycotting Russian energy, boycotting Russian oil and gas. You know, Biden put sanctions.
So, bro, so they ain't gonna let me play that, but they'll let me play this. That's crazy, Mike. You might be on to something. You heard? You might be on to something. They sure cut that shit short. And I couldn't even tell. Look, it was still playing on my screen. I don't know. And then I looked at the video. It don't say nothing. Like I got a strike or nothing like that.
In, but remarkably, he put exceptions for energy. Putin gets the bulk of his funds from selling oil and gas, and Biden accepted that, just like he did on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We need to make the Nord Stream 2 sanctions permanent, and we need to boycott Russian oil and gas.
We got to emphasize that Joe Biden artificially reduced the world supply, and as a result, he pushed our allies, NATO allies, European allies, right into the arms of Putin. Now, if you look at what's going on and what's been happening all day, you've got a 40-mile convoy of Russian military vehicles that are snaking towards Kyiv. Then, of course, from Belarus, they'll head south right to Kyiv. And it seems like a massive military undertaking is about to take place. And I would imagine that there's going to be a lot of dead people as a result of this next stage of this invasion. Your thoughts?
So we're seeing extraordinary heroism from the Ukrainian people, and they're standing and defending their homes. We need to be providing them with lethal military equipment, more Stingers, more Javelins. They are fighting the Russian army. Putin is shocked at how ferociously they're defending their homeland. The Biden administration last year in both April and December halted the transfer of military equipment to Ukraine because they wanted to appease Putin. That was a mistake. But I'll tell you, this afternoon I sat down with the former CEO of Ukraine's largest natural gas company, and he was talking about how Putin is counting on the fact that Europe is addicted to his gas and to his oil, and Putin believes no matter what he does, Europe needs that natural gas and oil. We need to impose a boycott on Russian oil and gas and replace it with American production. After this speech, I pulled the U.S. Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, aside, and I said, listen, we have an opportunity. Texas can stand up and produce the natural gas. We can produce the oil, but the Biden administration has got to clear the export of liquid natural gas. And if we fill European demand, nothing will weaken Putin more than taking away his revenue. And one of the things that's really striking, if the European refineries are looking for another source of oil and gas, they're not going to be able to purchase that just on the spot market. The producers are going to ask for long-term contracts, and if the European refineries are signing long-term contracts with American producers or other producers around the world, that will both terrify Putin and weaken him fundamentally with the oligarchs and with the security infrastructure there. That is actually fighting to win, but I'll tell you, Sean, my concern as I hear from Biden's national security team, they don't believe in winning this war. They are almost resigned to Putin conquering Ukraine. And I think if we stand and use the economic might of America, if we envision victory, you know, Reagan said very powerfully during the Cold War, what's your objective? We win, they lose. That should be our objective here, and we can do it with economic might, with the boycott of Russian oil and gas, and with providing military equipment to Ukraine so they can defend their nation, not U.S. soldiers, but Ukrainians defending their own homeland.
Senator, I had the same exact reaction, and that is that they basically are conceding the entire country of Ukraine, and Ukraine will fall without the javelins, without the Stinger missiles. Hopefully they'll get enough. And the question is going to be, okay, will NATO be a paper tiger, or will they stand up and fight if it's Estonia or Lithuania or Latvia? That's a question I can't answer tonight. And the one sanction that would have worked is to put an end to dependence on all things energy from Russia Yeah, and
Y'all bulletproof my bulletproof couldn't stand me.
Sanction. Well said, Senator Ted Cruz, Texas. Thank you.
I'm going in, and I'm gonna go hard.
Trey Yingst is in Kyiv, Ukraine, with the latest. And Trey, it's been quite a day. What's the latest?
Today the 2nd.
Yeah, good evening. We have heard air raid sirens once again in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv and explosions in the distance. It's not just this city, though. The second largest city in Ukraine, Kharkiv, coming under attack today from heavy Russian bombardments. Freedom Plaza, a square in the central part of Kharkiv, hit with 2 Russian cruise missiles, killing at least 6 people. This leading Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to call the event a war crime, and he's calling on the international community to hold Russia accountable and reconsider NATO alliance and the Ukrainian people. Take a listen to what he had to say today.
As far as a no-fly zone is concerned, it would have helped a lot. This is not about dragging NATO countries into war. The truth is, everyone has long since been dragged into war, and definitely not by Ukraine, but by Russia.
Zelensky speaking today from a bunker in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Much like the civilians here, he is waiting underground, or at least undercover, in an effort to stay away from the Russian air campaign. Those who can leave the Ukrainian capital are doing so. We saw them today at the train station, some heartbreaking scenes. A familiar scene unfolds in the Ukrainian capital. Uri Gretsenko says goodbye to his daughter and granddaughter. They're evacuating to the city of Lviv, near the Polish border.
We need to leave our homes to make our children safe. I never thought it would be like that. It's not a joke, but hell.
Like thousands of Ukrainian men, Uri will stay and fight as the Russian invasion continues.
My family, my daughter and granddaughter are leaving. I'm staying as I'm in the territorial defense.
People here are running out of time. There's a real understanding that Russian forces could surround the city in a matter of days. So the central train station in Kyiv is a major evacuation point for people looking to go west. The city remains on edge tonight with a curfew in place and roadblocks set up throughout the Ukrainian capital. Back to you.
Trey, we're going to have some questions for you. I'll kick it off here. I just have a question about another city named Kherson, which is where there was a lot of bravery earlier in the week with one of the soldiers who blew himself up to stop a Russian advance at that bridge there. But apparently the Russians are in Kherson now.
Yes, it's an area in the southern part of Ukraine near Crimea, and it's significant because it allows the Russians to continue that land bridge into Ukrainian territory. We were in this area with the Ukrainian Defense Forces in the southern part of the country just about 3 weeks ago, and it's not very well defended. It allowed Russian tanks and artillery units to move very quickly into this part of the country. But what's significant is that if the Russians continue their advance in this part of Ukraine, it will allow them to flank up here to the capital of Kyiv and allow them to attack the city from multiple directions, which would be extremely difficult to defend.
Jesse Waters, do you want to go next?
Sure, Trey. So if Russian forces surround the city, what kind of preparations are underway inside Kyiv to prepare, stockpiling food, stockpiling water and weapons? Because after you're surrounded, nothing's getting in or out.
Absolutely. We've seen it in recent days. The lines around the block at grocery stores, but also the lines around the block at police stations. Civilians picking up any weapons they can find, getting ready for the Russian tanks and artillery units to start rolling into this city. What we've seen, interestingly enough, today is that people are using anything they can to block the roads. There are checkpoints every single block, and if they don't have enough concrete barriers, they're pushing large objects into the street. So at one checkpoint, we saw a piano that had been dragged across the road and put into the middle of the street. It gives you a sense of the Ukrainians and the resilience and what they're using, everything they can to stop the Russian advance.
Judge Janine?
You know, Trey, we've been talking about this 40-mile Russian convoy that is entering Ukraine. Why is it that no one has attacked that convoy with a Hellfire missile or some kind of a drone with a Hellfire missile on it?
The Ukrainians simply don't have enough air power to take out a convoy this large, and the international community doesn't want to get involved at risk of the Russians counterattacking, and then this would trigger Article 5 of NATO and draw in a lot of countries to this fight. What's significant, though, about this convoy, it is coming in near the Antonov Air Base, an air base that sits just outside of the city limits of Kyiv. And it was a place central to fighting when this invasion first started. But now that the Russians control this area, they're likely to start their ground invasion and offensive into this city from the northwest. And when that happens, the Ukrainians are going to be hit pretty hard from that direction. And it's part of the reason they're hoping that Russian forces don't make a quicker advance on the city from other directions, because they'd have to spread out their forces, and it would significantly weaken the defense forces here in Ukraine.
Right, I understand that it has to be, you know, that we don't want to do it from the air to the ground, but are you saying they have no Hellfire missiles, no drones, that doesn't have to come from the air?
They do have drones, and they also have missiles. They've taken out a number of Russian units along different convoys, and they've been actually quite successful with the anti-tank missiles. It's part of the reason one of the main requests right now from the defense minister in Ukraine is receiving more anti-tank missiles. Another significant point has to do with the skies. Everyone thought early on in this conflict that the Russians would control the skies, as their air force is nearly 10 times the size of Ukraine's. But so far, they haven't. The Ukrainians have used air defense systems to shoot down not only helicopters, but also fighter jets in this battle.
Thank you.
Before we go to Harold, I just want to point out that there's this new video that we are showing you on the screen. It's a very different day today than it was yesterday, with this additional damage that you're seeing. It is unlike what we've seen in Europe since World War II. Harold Ford Jr., do you have a question for Trey?
I do. Trey, very quickly, first off, thanks for your bravery and great reporting. We heard today that a second meeting between the Russians and Ukrainians either had taken place, was scheduled to take place. Any sense if there's an altering in Putin's ask of Ukraine, or the Ukrainians, led by this great president of theirs, is willing to accept something, or he's asking for something differently in light of the pressure that Kyiv seems to be under this evening?
There will likely be another meeting between the Russians and the Ukrainians in the coming days, but what's important to remember is that the Russians often promise things on the ground and then act very differently with their military. We saw really a stark contrast in the way these two sides were dressed when they met along the border of Belarus. The Russians showed up in suits and ties, and the Ukrainians in battle fatigues. We also got some more information from the French, because they spoke with President Putin of Russia, French President Emmanuel Macron, on the phone with him this week. And it really gave us a sense of how unrealistic the Russian demands are. They would like Ukraine to give up all of their weapons and then recognize an area of land called Crimea that was annexed by Russia back in 2014. These are both non-starters for this entire conflict and any sort of peace process that would come out of these conversations.
Brian Kilmeade.
Well, Trey, a couple of things. Kharkiv has been under assault. It looks like it's been totally surrounded in a city that was known to be, there's a lot of Russians there. They thought it was pro-Russian. Doesn't seem to be. There's reports out of there that they're actually going for civilians. They've changed from taking on fighters to aiming at civilian targets. Have you heard that? And how does that make you feel, knowing that there's a 40-mile caravan about 10 miles away from you guys with the same intention?
The Russians claim they aren't targeting civilians in Ukraine. They're lying. They target civilians all over the world. In Syria, you can see thousands of civilians have been killed by Russian strikes, and it is part of the playbook to instill fear in the population as they move forward with these attacks. And it's unfortunate to see such a level of human casualties and such a human toll taken in this conflict so far. But the reality is they are targeting civilian areas. We've not only seen it in Kharkiv, the second largest city, but also here in the capital of Kyiv over the weekend. A Russian missile slammed into an apartment building, killing at least 2 people. They've shelled areas where there are only civilians living. So it is part of this campaign. And I think the concern, and it's one of the biggest concerns we have to remember, is that as President Putin slows this operation, as we have seen in recent days, and he faces this very fierce resistance, he may resort to hitting more civilian areas in an effort to try to bring the Ukrainians to their knees. And the reality is, they say they will fight back no matter what. It's part of the reason you've seen Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian leader, try to galvanize the civilian population and the army at the same time, because he understands this will be a fierce and bloody battle. And
well, in order for Buddy to win, he's going to have to kill hundreds of thousands of people, probably a million, something like that, because most of them fighting, I'm going to say, half of them may be kids. another half maybe women. Some women are fighting. Shit, it's gonna be at least an extra 500,000-600,000 people fight before they lay their weapons down. A half or more gonna have to get killed. Over 100,000 people gotta die for him to take that motherfucker with them going willingly. Other than that, it's gonna be a blickathon. It's gonna be a blickathon, man.
When a convoy that's 40 miles long ultimately makes it to this capital city of nearly 3 million people, it will be bloody urban warfare. Make no mistake about that. There will be a lot of deaths, and it's an extremely difficult situation for the Ukrainian people.
That's what I just said. I ain't never seen this video again. I be saying it, then they say it. It's crazy. It's gonna have to be brutal. His ass probably end up getting mopped because he probably can't get up out of there for real right now. Once you in that deep, you probably can't. Ain't no flights and none of that. You know what I'm saying? He probably stuck like Chuck, shit out of luck.
Trey Ying, stay safe for us. No doubt we'll see you later this evening. We appreciate it.
Hi, Glenn O'Brien, Kilmeade.
That's why they telling them stay safe, because they already know, shit, you on a one-way flight, buddy.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you
to sacrifice yourself for us. Unless they win, unless Ukraine win the war, then it'll be cool. He might have to pick a gun up, shit. His next interview, he better have a blicky. Like, shit, I got to be strapped too now. It's getting like that. Biden got no answers.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight, in less than an hour, Joe Biden begins his annual State of the Union address. Imagine if he dared to be honest about it. What would he say? What is the state of our union tonight? Well, in a word, it is fragile, very fragile. The United States is poorer, it's more fearful, it's far less free than it was when Joe Biden became the president just 13 months ago. Joe Biden inherited a divided country, a very divided country, and then he proceeded to make it much angrier. History will judge Joe Biden for that, but in the meantime, voters already are. Biden's poll numbers have dropped to the point that it's impossible to explain them without admitting that you're at fault. It's not just unvaxxed Confederate QAnon seditionists who disapprove of Joe Biden at this point, much as the White House suggests otherwise. It's pretty much everyone who lives here, apart from the bitter 50-something-year-old wives of private equity barons. They're steaming Aspen right now, and they still love Biden. But everyone else has second thoughts, and that would include many Americans who once supported Joe Biden. It would include Hispanic voters, independent voters, an awful lot of black men. At this point, disliking Joe Biden, disapproving of his performance, may be the single thing that unites this country. It is a rainbow coalition of disdain. So that's what Biden is up against tonight. The question is, how does he explain his failures? And the answer is mostly, he doesn't. Biden is guaranteed to make sympathetic noises about inflation and gas prices. He has no choice but to do that. But he also has no answers. He cannot fix the problems that he has caused. Thankfully, from his perspective, and we're preparing you, this is very cynical, Biden now has a war to talk about. And of course, that's what he will do tonight. The White House understands the invasion of Ukraine is a chance to change the subject. It is what Bloomberg News described today as a political reset. So forget what Biden did to your country and your economy and your children's school. Joe Biden is Winston Churchill now. And by the way, Vladimir Putin is the one who's brain damaged. The CIA can prove it. We're about to hear a lot of that. How much of it can you believe? Well, some of it is true. Vladimir Putin really did invade Ukraine. That really is bad. They're not just saying it. Putin's invasion destabilizes Europe. Thanks to the recklessness of our leaders, we could wind up at war with Russia, and that would be a legitimate disaster no matter what the outcome might be. So that's what we know for certain. But beyond that, in the realm of any other detail, our advice is be very wary of what you hear. There is an awful lot of lying going on, an unprecedented amount of lying. This war is a humanitarian tragedy, that we know. But the war is also a political event that various groups, including in this country, are leveraging feverishly in the hope of gaining more power for themselves. That is real. So to gain that power, they're manipulating you, the consumer of news, and they're doing it in ways that are often hidden and therefore highly insidious, and we would say immoral. Much of the information about the war that you're ingesting uncritically has in fact been curated by the tech monopolies and yes, by the intel agencies by the time it reaches your iPhone. Some of that information, to restate, is entirely real. Some of it is fake. So the question is, how do you know the difference? How do you know when you're being manipulated? As you certainly are.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.
Where you at, Mike? He just got through just saying everything you just said, bro. Phone them. That's crazy. Even the news telling them all, telling the motherfucker that they lying on the news. When the news say they lying on the news, when the news say the news lying, shit real. Who can I trust in this time?
Joining me now, Missouri Senator
trust. Look out for me.
Are you going to be there, Senator?
No, I'm going to be watching from home, Jesse, like the rest of America, and I imagine it's going to be quite the piece of theater as he tries to explain his terrible record.
So what do you think is going to happen tonight? Is he going to address anything, how to reduce gas prices? Is he going to hammer the Russian energy sector? What do you expect him to say?
What I expect is a lot of smoke and mirrors, taking credit for things he's had nothing to do with while trying to distract attention from his dumpster fire of a presidency. I mean, listen, what he should be saying is we need to open up American energy production full throttle. We need to be the energy dominant nation in the world, and we're not. And the reason we're not is Joe Biden. The reason we have runaway inflation is Joe Biden. The reason we have a shipping crisis, a supply chain crisis at this stage is Joe Biden. So if he wants to assign blame, all he needs is a mirror, and he can look in it, because he's the source of most of these problems and the solutions.
What Dale at? Hey, Dale, how much you want to bet that dude right there got a lot of money invested into the stock market? I guarantee you, boy, everybody that talk bad about Joe getting their head cracked in the stock market, because that shows why I'm talking about him. That's how I know he ain't doing right, because the economy, as far as the stock market go with the shit, bro, you dead wrong. He dead wrong for that. I bet he do. You hear me? The way he talking, you can look at his face. You can tell he's an investor. You know what I'm saying? He mad as shit. He like, man, I'm finna get on his ass. He mad as shit. He feels just like I feel. Check him out, bro. I'm telling you. If you don't invest in stocks, you wouldn't understand. But if you do, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Crisis, a supply chain crisis at this stage is Joe Biden. So if he wants to assign blame, all he needs is a mirror, and he can look in it, because he's the source of most of these problems, and the solutions he's offering are either non-existent or totally fake.
Well, you know your colleagues pretty well. Are they going to stand up and give him a round of applause when he talks about, forming this coalition to take on Putin and rallying the free world, or are they going to sit on their hands?
You know, I don't know why this administration is breaking its arm, patting itself on the back for an invasion that it didn't prevent. The goal should have been to deter Vladimir Putin from invading a sovereign nation. He utterly failed in that regard. We have an invasion on our hands, and part of the big reason for that is Joe Biden gave energy dominance to Vladimir Putin. He shut down our pipeline, and he opened up Russia's pipeline. That's the Biden legacy. That's what he's done. So now it's time to change course. And if the president wants to be serious, he'll admit that his policies have been wrong, that his policies have been weak, that his policies have endangered this nation and the world, and he'll tell us how he's going to change course.
All right. I don't expect that, but I will be watching anyway. Thank you so much, Senator Hawley.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest...
Look, man. Yeah, it look like, we stumped. I ain't got nothing coming with these boys. Damn, Russia bombed or what?
National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin is at the Pentagon tonight with the latest. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. As Putin's forces face setbacks, many U.S. officials worry he may be pushed to use more lethal weapons that could cause large-scale civilian casualties like these thermobaric weapons, vacuum bombs, known as the father of all bombs, which generate high temperatures that can start fires and burn everyone and everything within its blast radius. They were used in Chechnya. This footage is from 2014. U.S. officials assess the Russians have moved launcher systems for thermobaric weapons into Ukraine, but not the weapon itself. A grisly symbol of Putin's desire to wipe Ukraine off the map, his army is targeting cultural sites, and in a sick twist, after the Russian leader spoke of denazifying Ukraine, the Russian military bombed the Holocaust Memorial in Kyiv, a reminder that nothing is off limits. Here is the moment that President Zelensky, who is Jewish, was told by his chief of staff the memorial known as Bout was bombed.
President, I'd like to inform that now it's bombing Babi Yar.
Now Babi Yar?
Babi Yar now is bombing.
Babi Yar?
Yes.
The memorial?
Yes.
That is Russian. My congratulations.
U.S. defense officials are watching the slow progress of the 40-mile convoy coming to Kyiv. Reasons it may be stalled: the Russians still don't have enough gas and have run out of food. Reports suggest some Russian soldiers are punching holes in their own fuel tanks to stop their vehicles from moving forward. U.S. officials say they have no reason to doubt those reports. Some Russian soldiers have surrendered even without a fight. Many are conscripts, not told why they were there. Then there is the high-tech help sent from outside Ukraine. Elon Musk delivered a satellite internet service shown here called Starlink.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News
what
YouTube
we just
page.
saying about Elon, man. Elon and deliver internet to them boys. Like, keep doing your thing, man. They can't silence you. We got you. They gonna, hey, Elon can fuck around and win and put something in the atmosphere for their ass. Bidding on written that shit real quick, you did. From his brain, he ain't even gotta, you know, he got that computer chip. Let me see what he do.
Reported by A4, and so palpable is the tension, and the country has now formally petitioned Elon Musk.
When you say why you try to colonize Mars, Russia try to occupy Ukraine, why your rockets successfully land from space, Russia rockets attack you. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations to address same Russians. Also, he responded to that. Elon Musk retweeted.
The global corporate mogul, one of the richest men in the world, has been petitioned directly by Ukraine.
Then they said it in the bogus little way.
And said, please give us live from Kyiv at this point of reporters. Is Maria Paisarenko. There might be a communication breakdown, and that's why the Ukraine...
As far as the official, though any risks are still very high because
as the country takes a hit over a barrage of airstrikes. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Ines Ferre for more details. And as a top Ukrainian official, he actually appealed directly to Musk for help here, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ukraine's deputy prime minister through Twitter tweeted out to Elon Musk asking Musk to connect Ukraine to Starlink stations. And Elon Musk replied, Starlink service is now active in Ukraine, and said with more terminals en route. Now, this comes after intermittent power outages in some areas of Ukraine with heavy conflict. And of course, the fear is that as the conflict continues, that there will be areas with power outages with communications not accessible to people in the area. So as far as what Starlink is, just to back up for a second, Starlink is SpaceX's project, which is thousands of satellites in low orbit, just above 300 miles above Earth. Right now, there's over 1,400 of them, and the plan is to have tens of thousands of them in years to come to be able to connect the world to a high broad internet, so high-speed internet. And this will be in remote areas especially, so rather than connecting through fiber optic networks or through cell towers, you're connecting via these satellites. As far as the rollout is concerned, this service has been rolled out in some areas of the US, of the UK, and according to Starlink's website, the activation for Ukraine was supposed to happen in 2023. So this does appear to be an expedited rollout or activation in Ukraine of the Starlink network.
We had a guest on earlier praising Elon Musk for what he's doing there and getting those Ukraine soldiers access to the internet, which is really a lifeline to them in so many ways. But Inez, how feasible is it that Starlink can work across the entire country of Ukraine?
Well, in order to be able to access that internet connectivity, you need a dish on the ground. You need a Starlink kit, as it's called, which includes a router. So provided that these can get into the hands of Ukrainians, then the next question is the scalability. Right now, as far as users are concerned, the service counts on more than 140,000 users, but what if you got millions of users on there? So millions of Ukrainians who are using this Starlink service. It's yet unclear as to the scalability as far as the internet speed that you'll be getting when more and more people do connect. But again, you do need that dish, you do need that router to be able to connect.
Inez, this isn't the first time Starlink has come to the rescue, right? They also helped in Tonga when there was that underwater volcano that exploded. It was a lifeline there. And I'm wondering how much ammo does this now give Musk? Because he got a lot of flack for having a lot of, junk in space. Remember, his satellite almost hit one of the Chinese satellites, and he's getting a lot of flack and a lot of trouble for that. So is this sort of a redemption for him in a way?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when you're talking about trying to get into remote areas where there is no power, where there is no communication, and you're depending on satellite communications, this is sort of a perfect scenario to be able to use this service, this satellite service, in order for soldiers to be able to communicate, in order for people to be able to communicate and to keep those communications going. I mean, the whole entire premise of this is to be able to get internet connectivity to remote areas, to areas where there is no internet connectivity. So this is definitely a sort of redemption for Elon Musk, as you say.
And a lifeline to Ukraine at the moment. Okay, Inez Ferre, Yahoo Finance. Thank you so much for that.
Elon the God. They got Elon out there like a god, you understand me?
Billionaire Elon Musk is bringing a critical asset to Ukraine after receiving a Twitter request for help from the country's vice prime minister. The SpaceX CEO activated his satellite broadband service called Starlink, helping to get Ukrainians back online after parts of the country, including Kyiv, were left without internet access. Tech giants, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, are now blocking Russian state media from running ads on their platforms. Also off limits, much of the international airspace. You can see the flight disruptions as the European Union, along with Canada, today banned Russian airlines from their skies. FedEx and UPS are also suspending shipments to and from Russia. In the U.S., Americans are protesting in the streets and by pouring out Russian vodka. 5 states are stopping sales of the liquor, among them Ohio, where Governor DeWine attended church services after declaring today a day of prayer for Ukraine.
Putin is a thug, and we must punish him.
And Russian airline Aeroflot has just said in response to being shut out of European airspace that
you know what? That shit might not mean a lot to some people, but to them companies, like it's turning the people against him. You know what I'm saying? It's turning his own people against him because they like, man, ever since your ass been attacking motherfuckers, we can't sell our shit nowhere. Ain't nobody buying our shit now. You know what I'm saying? That's some real. That's big. Over time, they can kind of force Putin out if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? But who's to say they want to? You never know. Hydraulics on the shit, yeah. But damn, shout out to Elon Musk for sending that internet over there, man. I don't know how he got it over there. That man shot that shit over there, yeah. Stand me! Easy. Hey, y'all, in case y'all didn't know, hold on. Stop playing. That's Elon right there on the wall smoking the joint. So I've been fucking with Elon, he did. He right there on the wall smoking the joint with me. You know what I'm saying? That's Elon. No Bapperton. No Capperton. God damn it. Lock it. Now we blurry. I don't know if he sent the car into space. I know he done a lot of other shit. The fact that he sent that internet over there to a wall gonna let people start paying attention to what he doing now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody used to take him like, oh man, he just playing. He just a kid with a bunch of toys. He got too much shit in space. Now that shit useful to people they need. That's gonna boss his life, his stock up. You're already rich. You finna be rich. You did.
Things have escalated dramatically in Ukraine on day 4, and the possibility of a total communication mogul, one of the richest men in the world, has been petitioned direct. Got rockets landing on us here, centers, internet service. Zelenko and
speakers from the government, from the office of the president, and also from the state critical infrastructure here in Kyiv, as well as hospital, which is called.
Hey man, got some news you can use today, man. But nah, that shit real shit. How they did what they did, how they did it. I just want to see Ukraine win. Damn, that's true believe in them. I don't even want to look at that. Got into it with NBA YoungBoy and them people, I guess. They blicked their ass up, didn't they? Anyway, we find something for us. What we on though, gang? What y'all think, man? That boy, Dirt Music then passed up NBA YoungBoy shit again. Told y'all all the time it was gonna come together. Shit was gonna last longer. And hit harder and perform it and all that other type of shit like that. But I was trying to find that other shit, it was important too. I don't know what it find it now. Ukraine captured something. What the fuck was it? Who they captured? They captured somebody or something. You say you can't believe people. You don't think Musk sent the car out of space? What do you say? He sent the Tesla out of there? Let me see. Shit, they can send a jet out of there. Elon Musk launches a car into space. Oh, he sent the roaster there. He sent the roaster there. Elon sent the roaster out of there, man. Why you hating on Elon sending this roaster? That motherfucker out there with a fake spaceman floating and everything. Flitting and noting. Let me see. He don't say why he did it. Oh, okay.
What was going through your mind? How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the Blue Planet? And how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. Like, we'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
That might be a, you know.
And you know, the colors all look kind of weird in space. There's no atmospheric occlusion. You know, like everything looks too crisp. But we didn't really test any of those materials for, you know, is it space hardened or whatever, you know. So it just has the same seats that like normal car has. It's just literally a normal car in space, which I kind of like the absurdity of that. And if you look closely, there's on the dashboard there's a tiny roadster with a tiny spaceman. So Hot Wheels made a Hot Wheels roadster, and a friend of mine suggested, hey, why don't you put that Hot Wheels roadster with a tiny spaceman on the in the car too? I'm like, that'd be cool. Sure. So we did that. I mean, it's kind of silly and fun. But I think,
what if that shit come out of space and drop back into that?
You know, silly fun things are important.
In the house.
And normally, for a new rocket, you know, they'd launch like a block of concrete or something like that. I mean, that's so boring. And I think that's just the imagery of it is something that's going to get people excited around the world.
It look like he got that chip in his mind. See how you gotta keep pausing.
Tripping balls here.
Next question in the room. How about Brendan Byrne from WMFE, the New York affiliate?
Yeah, congratulations, Elon. Great launch today. Where do you see the Falcon Heavy fitting into this launch industry? Is this something that is going to be for more national security? Do you see this for interplanetary missions? What's the future of Falcon Heavy?
Yeah, the great thing is, like, so Falcon Heavy opens up a new class of payload. So it can launch more than twice as much payload as any other rocket in the world. So it's kind of up to customers what they might want to launch. But it can launch things direct to Pluto and beyond. You know, no stop needed. You don't even need like a gravity assist or anything. And it can launch giant satellites. It can do anything you want. You could go back. You could send people back to the moon with a bunch of, you know, if you did a bunch of launches of Falcon Heavy and did an orbital refilling. The two or three Falcon Heavies, you know, would equal the payload of a Saturn V. But I wouldn't recommend doing that because I think the new architecture, BFR architecture, is the way to go. But I think it's going to open up a sense of possibility. I think it's going to encourage other companies and countries to say, hey, if SpaceX, which is a commercial company, can do this, and nobody paid for Falcon Heavy, it was paid for with internal funds. then they could do it too. So I think it's going to encourage other countries and companies to raise their sights and say, hey, we can do bigger and better, which is great. We want a new space race. Space races were exciting.
Hey, buddy, yeah, he really a genius though. I think he probably ain't lying when he sent that call out there. Man, be doing some wild shit. He lying to go.
How about one more in the room? How about Daryl Neal from the Fox affiliate here in Orlando?
Trying to see where the footage is.
Mr. Musk, kind of talk us through your thought process as you were watching the launch. You said you were incredibly concerned about it. Just wanted to clear the pad because it kind of set expectations low. So talk me through as you were watching it.
Yeah, I think this is true of anyone who's involved in close in the design of something. You know all the ways that can fail, and that's like the sort of mental checklist that's scrolling through your mind. Is all the things that can break. I mean, there's thousands of things that can go wrong, and everything has to go right once the rocket lifts off. There's no opportunity to do a recall or upload a software fix or anything like that. It's either passing grade is 100%, at least for the ascent phase.
We gotta keep pausing.
Yeah, I've seen
so
rockets
download the data
so many different ways. So it's a
to his brain.
Big relief when it actually works.
One more question in the room.
I bet the first, when they first, whoever's when they're like first launched like a 747 or DC-3 or something like that, I bet the chief engineer was like, I can't believe that thing's flying.
One more in the room, and then we'll go to the phone. How about Irene Klotz from Aviation Week? Irene? We need to have you on mic first for the folks on the phone to hear.
Thanks. I can hold it. Okay. Thanks, Irene Klotz with Aviation Week. Congratulations. Can you talk to us a little bit about what needs to happen to certify Falcon Heavy for the national security missions, how far along you are in that process, and how many flights you might need to do, and also if you're able to say anything about how much your SpaceX's investment to get to the rocket.
But we have a number of commercial customers for Falcon Heavy, so I think I really don't think it's going to be in any way an impediment.
I want to see that motherfucker take off. I know they recorded it. There we go.
Pulls off an engineering feat. He sent his own kind of amazing pictures from space. Elon Musk pulls off an engineering feat. He sent his own kind of rocket man on board a Tesla Roadster into orbit. Elon Musk.
It's probably a robot rocket too, a rocket man too. He fucking around. Hey, that's some secret shit. He fuck around and got the computer robot driving it. Don't never need to eat. All it need to do is stay charged up. It's probably gonna solar energy. Hopefully it'll hit some sun or something one day. Get it shit up. Got hella batteries. Took the motor out. Put all batteries in that motherfucker. You understand me? That bitch fuck around end up on a whole other planet. He probably ain't gonna be able to transmit though.
Has outdone himself this time.
But this is much more than a publicity stunt involving just a car in space. Let's start with the science. This afternoon, SpaceX launched the world's most powerful rocket, and it's a major milestone for the company. And this is a live look at what's happening right now in space. That's Elon Musk's own Tesla convertible in orbit. The driver is a mannequin he's calling Starman. But CBS reporter Manuel Borroquez shows us what came down is also making news.
27 rocket engines fired at once, sending the Falcon Heavy into space, and the SpaceX crew into applause.
Well, if you could hear all that cheering, it was an outstanding test flight of the Falcon Heavy.
The mega rocket combines the power of 3 SpaceX rockets into one, generating over 5 million pounds of thrust. Enough to launch a 737.
It's a very big step forward. We haven't seen a rocket
this powerful since the space shuttle retired back in 2011.
SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk spoke with CBS space analyst Bill Harwood Monday at the launch pad.
What does the country need this rocket?
And this rocket's great for a lot of reasons. It's something that I think inspires the public, and you could actually send people back to the moon with the Falcon Heavy, with the orbital refueling, send people to Mars.
The payload on this test launch is Musk's Midnight Cherry Tesla Roadster.
Goddamn music.
Sun that
Don't panic.
Boosters that got the Falcon Heavy into space, Musk got them back intact. They stuck their landings at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Manuel Borges, CBS News, Kennedy Space Center.
Hey, that shit.
All right, we gotta show you more live pictures.
The autonomous driving cars. You got shit that's going up. Ain't coming back, ain't landing anywhere. Motherfucker gotta go retrieve it. Get that man a Nobel Peace Prize, bro.
From space. Coming up in about 90 minutes, if all goes well, rockets on board will fire again, sending the Roadster on its way towards Mars.
You can't knock Buddy though, bro. You cannot knock Buddy. That was 2018. I wonder if it made it. How long do it supposed to take to get to Mars? Who knows? Anybody knows? Anybody snoots? Will the Starman return to Earth? I don't know. Will anybody know? Let me see. 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Whoa. We ain't heard nothing else about it. If they ain't said nothing else about it, and Elon ain't said nothing else about it, then you're probably right. It might be a stizzle. You understand me? They should have put down. In fact, them rockets did what they did and came back down and slid how they slid. That's amazing.
February 2018, the Falcon Heavy launched Starman in a Tesla Roadster into space. During this spectacular event, Starman orbited the Earth.
That's probably some reverse camera shit. You hear me? The tape when they took off, the motherfucker probably reversed the camera though, bro. You hear me? But I don't see why he would lie though. Why would Buddy lie? But that right there did look like the cameras just was reversing. Now that I look at it, when the rockets came back, it looked like they played it in forward, take it off.
Event, Starman orbited.
Yeah, hell nah, Brian, no way. That's fake. Elon, I fuck with you like a motherfucker.
The Falcon Heavy launched on the 6th of February.
Not look efficient or sufficient.
On the 6th of February 2018, the Falcon Heavy launched Starman in a Tesla Roadster into space. During this spectacular event, Starman orbited the Earth for 6 hours, capturing beautiful images before the Falcon Heavy upper stage sent the car into an orbit around the sun. But where is Starman now? And will we ever see him again? In this video, we're going to look at the long journey Starman has been on since leaving Earth. We're also going to look at when he might return to Earth and the possible solutions we have for retrieving him. After Starman left Earth's orbit, scientists and amateurs
they calling this nigga Starman like he a person.
To astronomers telescopes toward the night sky in order to track the Roadster and predict its future orbit. A team at JPL used data provided by SpaceX and predicted that Starman would pass by Earth in the year 2091, getting within a few thousand kilometers. This model proved to be accurate for the first few months, but since it was made from a limited amount of data, anything beyond that became increasingly inaccurate. It wasn't until March of this year that we got a solid prediction of Starman's future. Thanks to an observation of the Roadster seen from a telescope in South Africa, JPL were able to refine their measurements and accurately predict Starman's path for the next 50 years. They concluded that Starman is on a path that will pass by Mars in the year 2020, getting within 4.5
They ain't getting hit by no asteroids. That's crazy.
At this point, the telescopes we have on Mars won't be capable of observing an object as dim as the Roadster. Starman will make a closer approach to Mars in the year 2035, getting as close as 1.5 million miles. By then, it's likely we'll have more advanced telescopes on and around Mars to capture an image of the Roadster, even if it's just a tiny dot in the sky. Starman will make its closest approach to Earth in the year 2047, passing by at just 3 million miles. At this distance, telescopes on Earth will be able to observe the Roadster and record its position in the sky, giving us a more refined prediction for many years to come. But what if we were able to catch Starman during this close approach? The idea of retrieving satellites from space isn't unheard of. Due to the enormous payload bay on the space shuttle, it was capable of retrieving faulty satellites and returning them back to Earth. During STS-51,
what you think fake on the lines rule? Because right now they trying to prove this shit.
Using
looking a little really relevant.
And the shuttle's robotic arm. Those satellites were returned to Earth and sold to new customers, who relaunched them into the correct orbits. However, retrieving satellites outside Earth's orbit is much more challenging and requires a lot more energy. A Japanese spacecraft which launched in 2014 has slowly made its way out to an asteroid 180 million miles from Earth. It has already managed to retrieve samples from the surface, and it will continue to survey the asteroid before returning those samples back to Earth in 2020. Although the Roadster is a much heavier sample to bring back from space, Starship could follow a similar plan to retrieve the Roadster. With the enormous capability of Starship, it could refuel in Earth's orbit and perform a maneuver to match the Roadster's orbit. With a large amount of fuel remaining, it could then capture the Roadster and store it in the payload bay before returning to Earth. So, perhaps one day, many years down the line, the generation that experienced the iconic Falcon Heavy launch will be reunited with Starman and his Roadster. Or perhaps it's best to let him wander the solar system forever, like a mascot for human civilization. Thank you to the Primal Space patrons who helped to write and research each video.
Imagine,
if you'd like to contribute to...
Imagine an alien being out there and seeing that shit, like, what the fuck?
Primal Space and join our exclusive Discord. Please visit patreon.com/primalspace, where we will...
Alien seeing that shit, bro. On that motherfucker. Out there chilling and shit, moving around, and they see a motherfucking car, a Tesla, with a man in it and shit. They probably gonna roll up on that motherfucker like, what the fuck is you on? That'll scare the shit out of one of their ass, though. We knew it was people out here. And they'll know it came from somewhere. They can't Earth at this place where he's bigger than they tell us. Oh my God. So you ain't never been on no airplane, bro? When you go on the airplane, you can basically just tell, like, you know what I'm saying? I've been on the airplane a lot of times, bro, and I done flew up, and it's been, sometimes it be clouds, sometimes it don't. You can see down, and that shit be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't deny that. They got trips to send your ass out of space too, if you don't believe it. Pay that little fee. I think SpaceX doing it, or Jeff Bezos, one of them motherfuckers. Motherfuckers that did that shit. Oh, Michael Strahan did it. Oh, I think he did do it. There go the pods. Yeah, they take you in a pod. It's like right to the outer edges of space. Phone now. You be thinking I be capping, they be out of space lamping, niggas living in the Hamptons, like what's happening? I ain't playing game with these niggas, I be doing a lot of slapping, no slacking, they be lacking on the macking, I be hitting hoes from the fucking back end, play no game with these niggas, got the Mac 10, hit a motherfucker in there, hit he lacked in. That's a freestyle, Hootie Mac, and meanwhile, I'm gonna play this fucking video. Let's see
For this ride,
go.
one
I think we out of space, then came back on the
and space,
Michael Strahan
6 crew members on board, and among them the one we know so well around here, our friend, our family, our colleague.
They could be in a simulation, though. I can't even cap, they probably lying, motherfuckers somewhere, they ain't flying. I'm just playing this shit.
It was an incredible moment for me, even more momentous, of course, for Michael Strahan, and yes, it brought a whole new meaning to the word touchdown. I went there for our friend Stray. When we asked him about his trip, he said, it's almost like an out-of-body experience.
Almost, it should be.
Michael, along with his 5 fellow crew members, blasting off.
You know what throw me off about it? Ain't none of them look worried like they might not make it back.
Marking the edge of space.
At some point, you gotta feel like, man, what the fuck? Is everything cool though?
Blue Origin Launch Site 1 with my fellow ABC colleagues.
There was nothing, I imagine,
that shit crazy if they went out of space though.
Thrilled yet full of nerves watching it all unfold.
They went out of there. Michael Strahan went up out of there, bro. I'm trying to tell you, they went up out of there, man. They got loose and produced.
I actually feel confident.
Stuart Little got little, understand me.
Prepared to do it. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be epic.
They got loose and produced, man.
Everyone else
that's a football player.
Is probably a lot more nervous.
Straight easy, finds a feezy, man. You know what I'm saying?
The crew made their way to the launch pad with some cheering.
And they in the electric cars and shit. That's them electric rivets, I think.
To the launch tower.
Or is that? Or is they hit me in the head again? They hit me in the head again, didn't they, bruh? Let me stop playing with them, man. My bad, I ain't know I couldn't see that shit, man, you know? That's crazy, they busting my nose. Wide open. Felix jumped from the stratosphere. I bet I can't see that either, I guess you did. I ain't trying to get binked over the binkers. Say the oxygen, man. They was in the capsule. I think the capsule had oxygen. Yeah, they make a lot of sense though. What the hell they motherfucking oxygen man said? But if they was out of space inside that capsule and the capsule had everything they need, then you know that could be part of the answer to that. But you know, like I said, it do make sense. I ain't gonna cap. I ain't gonna cap in no rap. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they sure hit me with that stream interrupted. Damn. I gotta be careful. Can't be playing that shit that's gonna get me binked over the dome. Tell them to leave me alone. What happened? Oh, the camera failed. Kiss my vagina. Motherfucking camera, the ghetto. Talking about the ghetto. They banking my forehead over the you dig me's. This company want to take you out of space on a balloon. This is what I think what I was talking about. But damn, can I watch it? You understand me? Can I watch it or not yet? I gotta make sure I end this bitch before 4 hours up so they don't pluck my noodles.
Race to give you and I an astronaut's view of planet Earth just got a little more crowded. But the latest company to throw their hat in the ring, they don't want to take you on a rocket. They want to do it on a balloon. Okay, maybe not exactly space perspective. For around $125,000,
125K, you can go to space, and it's probably gonna seat at least 10 people or some shit like that. So that's $1 million every trip. You understand me? And they gonna make you sign a waiver that if you die, it ain't on them.
Take a trip to the stratosphere in a pressurized capsule, suspended.
See, it's a pressurized capsule. That's why you ain't gotta have no thing on. See, they ain't have nothing on either.
Neptune.
You'll see the blackness of the sky, you'll see the curvature of the Earth, the thin blue line of the atmosphere.
That's co-founder Jane Pointner, who I had a chance to catch up with about space.
Of imagination that we all live on this planet together, it becomes very. But the net result is that we all. Moon really allows us to be.
You know what it's like? It's like one of them balloons that go up and test the atmosphere.
Get onto a rocket.
I forgot the name of them, a temperature balloon, some shit like that. It tests the atmosphere. What is it called? They probably said it in this video.
6-hour round trip journey to about
If they go up, touch the outer atmosphere, they come back down.
Of the Earth's atmosphere. The passenger capsule about 5 meters in diameter, and the balloon itself is about 100 meters when it's fully inflated with hydrogen. And these trips, they're going to be for early risers. Plan for pre-dawn departures to get the best views.
That's when you're going to see the most incredible starscape you could ever imagine. We really want you to be able to see that before the sun comes up. And then the sun will start coming up, and that's when you'll really see the curvature of the Earth, and you'll totally get that our planet is a ball in space.
Passengers get 2 hours in the stratosphere to take all those selfies they can handle.
I'll be scared as hell.
So you can celebrate the fact
2
that
hours.
you've now joined an incredibly
I'm gonna be up there beating something and everything. Whoever go with me that's a female, y'all just know this might be our last trip. Let's get it.
So, there's also the opportunity to get some firsts here as well, which is also pretty cool.
To get some what?
Yes, also pretty cool.
And yes.
Sound like she said.
Firsts here as well. Opportunity to get some firsts here as well, which is also pretty. There's also the opportunity to get some firsts here as well, which is also
First.
cool.
And yes.
She know what she talking about.
Which Space Perspective describes as the blue with the best view in the universe. And that of course begs the question.
Got a bathroom in there, going there taking shit while you looking at the earth, top of the earth. Hey man, that might be true, man. I'm telling you. Hydrogen balloons, that's what they call them, things to go up and test the atmosphere to try to see where it's going. How much the world heating up and all that old shit like that, you know what I'm saying? I forgot the name of that shit, but it shows you how much the world heating up and all that. 125K, you can keep a secret, pay attention. I'm telling you, bro, these shits ain't fake. You can go to Earth, outer space if you want to, man. Pay that money, you'll see. It's a waiting list long as a motherfucker, though. I think Jeff Bezos tax the motherfuckers $1 million. I think it costs $1 million for him to go his way. I think he got a balloon or something too, a hydrogen balloon. But I don't think it's that many people. Look at their hair while floating. The space missions are filmed in the ocean to add the illusion of weightlessness and darkness. No, they got fake space stations. They ain't got to do it in the ocean. They can do it in the fake space station. So if they was to fake it, that's where they'll do it at, in a fake space station where there's no gravity. And I think they do that by taking all the air out the room or whatever. I forgot how they do it, but same way they train astronauts. So let me get this right. Y'all think astronauts never been out of space? That's what y'all trying to tell me? Is that what y'all trying to tell me? I'm trying to see what you see. Mythbusters. This 11 years ago though, so can I do it? I'm not gonna be able to do it. Can I do it? I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Can we do it? Not gonna be able to do it. Can we do it? Not gonna be able to do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Y'all remember that old ass song? I'm not gonna be able to do it. What video can we watch without getting strizziked upside the nizzos? You understand me? Hit him with the nano like my man did. Proof we landed on the moon. It's in the dust. I ain't got no current ones. Watching the dude who was in on it is like watching another lie. So I don't know. It's a good question. Are the flags still there? Let us know if we was on the bit. I think we got robots and shit there now though. This 2011, this old as hell too. Dude right here probably
got to thinking about iconic American flags.
Yeah,
The flag the Marines raised at Iwo Jima. The one firefighters put up at Ground Zero. The one that flew over Fort McHenry. The inspiration for what would become our national anthem. It comes to an end.
You can see the stars and stripes.
When Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin planted the first flag on the moon, it was an act of pure symbolism. A United Nations treaty would not allow the U.S. or any other country to claim the moon as its territory.
This is a very schematic diorama of what the Apollo 11 site would have looked like.
Smithsonian curator Alan Needell says the flags planted by the crews of all the Apollo missions that landed on the moon were goodwill gestures to the world.
By and large, the symbol was very much understood for what it was. It's a symbol of pride, but also a symbol of humanitarian.
Apollo.
But, as Tom Moser notes, it was also a politically sensitive symbol. An engineer on the NASA team that designed the first flag to go to the moon. Moser was told to keep it hush-hush.
It was not a military Department of Defense secret, it was just politically, we didn't want the word out before the event happened.
From the beginning, there were technical problems. The Apollo 11 astronauts had difficulty getting the pole deep enough into the lunar soil, and they had trouble extending the full apparatus, designed to keep the flag upright and outstretched in a place where there is never any wind.
The wave is a product of what? Of it being bunched up and not being pulled out tight.
That's what happened. It got bunched. Is a question.
Theoretically, there are
from Apollo 11 and 12 did maybe more than a bit tattered. Coming to an end, it's not likely that American astronauts will be the ones to discover whether, after the rocket's red glare, our flag is still there.
Come on out here, give me a salute.
Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Washington.
Blow up alizations and my nizations. Which one of them that never, all of them died, I think, except one or something like that. Was it Apollo 13? These are conspiracy theories.
For man and one giant leap for mankind, or one of the most enduring conspiracy theories of all time.
Oh, look how bright the flag is, but everything else ain't got that much color pop to it. Y'all starting to make sense now.
For mankind, or one of the most enduring conspiracy theories of all.
Look at the flag. The flag bright as hell. The shadow way bigger than the flag. It looked like a half a flag.
Time. We have the facts. ever since mankind. And that's a lot of mouths to keep shut about such a sensational secret. In the 1960s, the space race was serious business, and America was desperate to beat the Soviets to the moon and plant a flag there. But did the government want it so badly that they faked the whole mission in order to ensure success? Some people think so. Conspiracy theories took off in the early 1970s, just a few years after Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. This was the era of the Pentagon Papers and the Watergate scandal that rocked the United States. Some people were already distrustful of the government. The conspiracy theorists said the Apollo 11 moon landing was shot on a secret film set in the Hollywood Hills.
I think they've been there now, but this shit probably was fake as hell. I done seen enough. Y'all done already convinced me with what they said, all the shit they done said. Shit sound foo-for-no-skish.
Or a remote military base. The non-believers also say, take a look at the lighting in this
Open
photo.
discussion
It's
tonight,
not real
man.
because the
Whatever y'all want to
sun
talk
must be
about.
the only source of light in the image. But yet we can clearly see the lunar lander and the Apollo astronauts, even in the shadow areas. Hollywood lighting must have filled in the darkness. But NASA says the light gray lunar soil and white spacesuit created more than enough reflections to fill in the shadows. Lunar landing deniers point to this photo and ask, where are the stars? We're clearly not in space. But this picture is exposed for the brightly lit astronaut and lander, meaning it's not exposing for the dimly lit stars.
This motherfucker consistent.
It's the same thing that happens in your nightmare photographs, where your friends are exposed properly, but the background stays
Hit
dark.
my cash out,
And
man.
what
I
about the
promote some
flash?
shit for
How
you.
is it waving in outer space if there's no wind?
Hit my cash
Well,
out,
NASA
man.
engineers knew a regular
time
flag
out.
would hang lifeless. Not so good for patriotic imagery. So they engineered a flag to look like it was moving in a breeze.
Let me know it's real.
And for most of us, this far out flag has never looked better.
Right or wrong. That flag look nude in the bit. 3 men lost in space. See this right here, I know might have been real. They was lost in the sauce for real, for real. I watched a lot of little documentaries on this. Apollo 13, yeah, and it was 13. Unlucky number 13.
2 of the 3 astronauts to the moon. And lastly, the service module. It was a large cylinder.
You sound like I'm hearing something, shit. Have to get that. Icky.
Cylindrical craft with the main engines and oxygen tanks. During the mission, the service module would orbit the moon and rejoin with a jettisoned capsule that blasted off from the lunar module after the moonwalk was complete. This all had to be perfectly timed, a feat done by 2 onboard guidance computers, one in the orbiting command module and the other in the lunar module. Like the previous 2 Apollo missions, the crew consisted of 3 men.
I want to see the footage.
Now exposed.
Houston, we have
Tank
a problem. Ain't that where Houston, we have a problem came from? Yeah. Houston, we have a problem.
You fall back upon your simulation training.
I could have swore they had footage in there, man.
Around him to keep him warm. They were miserable.
Yeah.
By now, they're the 2 and then a fever. They became dehydrated. The crew had to store their weight, eject urine into water. The crew had to cut down their intake to about 1/5 of normal. Worse, they were requested to not eject urine into space so they wouldn't disturb the flight's trajectory. This meant that the crew had to store their waste in bags and practically stop drinking water. They became dehydrated.
I know they can stop drinking water, bro. Cut it.
Cold, sleep deprived, and Fred Hayes developed a bladder infection and then a fever. The other 2 crew members would wrap their bodies around him to keep him warm. They were miserable. By now, the entire world was following the updates of Apollo 13. Even more problems. The 3 men were creating excess carbon dioxide that needed to be expelled or they would suffocate. The lunar module was running out of carbon dioxide filters, but the command module had plenty of space.
How do we connect this?
Use a different filter to fix it.
You had to come.
Center of their window and hope for the best.
I know that.
I think they were.
Up and down and sideways.
Some of them died.
Power up the command module. Everything booted up. The components had withstood the cold temperature. It was time for re-entry. After they crossed through the atmosphere, the crew deployed their parachutes successfully. They had done it. The Apollo 13 Accident Review Board tank, leading to the risk of a short circuit, which in turn caused the explosion.
That's them coming out the sky though. There go that thing. Could it be?
Commander James Lovell became the first person to travel to the moon twice. Even though Apollo 13 couldn't complete its mission of landing on the moon, it's called a successful failure. A successful failure because NASA managed to bring the entire crew safely back to Earth, and are all factors that make space travel.
None of them die.
Enjoy this channel, then I'm sure you enjoy learning, and a great way to do that with Apollo missions. Even though Apollo 13 couldn't complete its mission successfully safely back to Earth on a damaged spacecraft, the mission gave several lessons to the space agency for future successes of Apollo missions.
I don't know about that.
Was it one small step for man?
Next subject, what we on? So staged. So do you think the Earth flat? You think the Earth flat, huh? I got that Raleigh on it, buddy. Raleigh with that money. What we on now? Cheers. What we on? Shinobi. And this mask is comfortable as hell compared to that other one, cause I can wear this bitch all day. Oh damn. Let's see what they talking about. Let's see what they talking about right here, man. See, what's CWMG at, man? His ass came in here and said, dude broke his ankle, had us talking about, hope he get a speedy recovery. He was playing the next game. Ja Morant. Hold it. Trying to find this shit. I feel like that's what we'll do with it. So that property. To do what? I'm probably gonna put something else up.
For young Dolph fans to honor the rapper. The growing memorial outside Makeda's Cookies. First tonight, time is running out for young Dolph fans to honor the rapper. The growing memorial outside Makeda's Cookies is set to be removed next week. Thanks for joining us for the News at 5. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
I'm Greg Hurst. Young Dolph, whose real name was Adolph Thornton Jr., was gunned down at the South Memphis cookie shop in November. WRG's Bria Jones joins us now live after speaking with the property owner. And Bria, what did he have to say?
Well, Greg and Stephanie, this memorial here has become a shrine for young Dolph, with people coming from all across the country. Now the owner tells me that he's planning to pick up the pieces and move forward. Candles, banners, and posters honoring the life of young Dolph cover every inch of the storefront outside Makeda's Cookies. The memorial drawing crowds daily.
I've seen people from all over the world. It seems like from different countries, you know, different states, as far away as New York.
Lloyd White owns the laundromat next door and the entire building. He's been monitoring the memorial since Dolph was shot and killed on airways at Makeda's Cookies on November 17. He tells WREG he wants to let fans know he's bringing it down next week.
I respect what he did for the neighborhood. I wanted to get it out there so people wouldn't feel like I'm just a brutal person.
Previously, White shared he was losing business due to the memorial.
I feel like now it is time for it to come down because it is affecting me pretty bad. Some of my customers don't like being around this kind of stuff, or it is happening. And the cookie shop, Makeda's, they are ready to come back.
This fan who drove over 100 miles says he's disappointed by the news.
It's a little devastating to think that, you know, to see it taken down because, you know, it's beautiful to have something to remember him.
Due to potential hazards, insurance issues, and repairs still needed to be made to the building, White says he's hopeful fans will understand.
It's time for us to move on and try to put our life back together. It has affected my life, and it has affected Makeda's life.
Take pictures there.
White plans to start removing the memorial next week. He says they're looking to salvage some of the items to make a permanent memorial inside Makeda's. Now reporting live in South Memphis, Bria Jones, WREG News, Channel 3.
All right, the memory will certainly live on. Bria, thanks.
I should just put a mural up, which they probably will.
First tonight, time is running out for young.
Probably put a mural up with it, like they did for King Von and all that. What they saying happened right
A
here.
state of shock. That's how one Memphian, originally from Ukraine, describes how she's feeling as Russia invades her country. WRG's Shay Arthur is live tonight after speaking with her. And Shay, we know this is an extremely difficult time. What is she hearing from the homeland?
Yeah, Greg, I mean, it's heartbreaking to say the least. She has family there in the eastern part of the country. Now, she talked to us today about what people there are going through and what she wants people here to know. Gut-wrenching videos from Ukraine.
It's a state of shock, but it's the non-state of shock.
Civilians forced to take up arms. Families fleeing following a Russian invasion.
This has been going on for 8 years. They didn't just start last week. To anticipate such a full-scale invasion, I think there was a risk for that, and people thought that might happen, but it was still a tremendous shock when it actually did happen.
Elena Petrova, originally from Ukraine, has lived in Memphis since 1999. Today, she sat among local humanitarian leaders, an international studies professor, and Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris to speak about why people living in Shelby County should pay attention to what is happening in Ukraine.
Family members that when things started happening a week ago, they pretty much jumped in the car and started driving. You know, I do have reports of people either being displaced or people who want to get out of some of the more severely impacted areas, but they can't because the infrastructure is being affected. The airports are being attacked and destroyed. Some of the bridges are being bombed.
Petrova wants people to remember this.
Consider that these are real lives, and as we go through our day right now, there are 44 million people who are hiding and who are being attacked with a very severe military presence. What we're dealing with is a superpower that's invading another country. But on the human-to-human level, it does not necessarily mean that our brothers and sisters who are of Russian descent are evil, necessarily. So just keep that in mind.
And we've included some ways that you can help on our website. Just click on this story. We're live on Talk Tonight. Shay, our
dumbass carjacked somebody outside, coming there with the camera with the mask on. Look like some ones. And then why you got a plastic bag? You can't take no. And look how you holding the gun. Well, your ass would have got blicked apart. In a real pawn shop, he would have got knocked the hell off. They be strapped in the real pawn shops. Way he holding that bag, I'd have been like, give me all the jewelry. He ain't get no jewelry. He ain't get the guns if they got guns. And look like he ain't getting nothing but a little petty cash. Let's see. Look like a crackhead the way he moved. Look like some ones, bro. She gave him a stack of ones. Goof troop in the game. Goofy, Loafy. Swap meet Louie. Remy, go sit your ass down with all that goddamn licking yourself and shit. Russia take. Oh, I thought they were saying Ukraine took the fight to them. That's what I want to see.
Never God.
What time is it? Goddamn me. 3:20. Goddamn it! I'm glad I ain't missed the deadline. Deadline to make the headlines. Got a little time left. I know this bitch gotta be edited. Edited. And still off.
It's been an horrific 24 hours in Ukraine.
Attempt by the Kremlin. The main television and radio tower. The main television and
still riding around like it ain't nothing. Hey, all I know, if I was one of them, I'd be if I had somebody in the army, I'd tell them come over here and bomb this bank real quick so I get this bread. So we can get up out of here. I need to get the family out of here, man. Bomb this bit of it ain't. You understand me? We get this fettuccine linguine.
the main television and radio tower in Kyiv. Taken out by 2 Russian missiles, seen by many Ukrainians as the first attempt by the Kremlin by 2 Russian radio tower control. The main television and radio tower in Kyiv.
Look, they took that out on purpose. The main television producer kept steady making them videos.
Seen by many Ukrainians as the first attempt by the Kremlin to cut off communications and further demoralize the population. Below the tower, a memorial to tens of thousands of people massacred in Kyiv during the Holocaust. 5 killed this time. The victims of an invasion Vladimir Putin claimed was to rid the country of Nazis. An hour out of the city centre, more devastation. Apartment buildings and roads turned to ruins. A playground in flames. Turned to ruins. Apartment centre. An hour out of the city centre, more devastation. Apartment buildings and roads. An hour out of the city centre, more devastation. Apartment buildings and roads turned to ruins. A playground in flames. At least 4 people were killed in a strike on Zadimir. The apparent target, a nearby airbase. Instead, homes and lives destroyed. In the centre of the eastern city of Kharkiv, Freedom Square smashed into rubble. Bodies of civilians carried away. Ukrainian President Zelensky said there was no military target here, labelling the attack outright undisguised terror. Crucially though, Russia's 64-kilometre-long convoy outside of Kyiv has not advanced much closer in the past 24 hours. Its scale and proximity has raised alarms. The military may be planning to put the city under siege and intensify its bombardment. Still, the mayor maintains we will not give up Kyiv. A chilling example of Russia's tactics is playing out in the southern port city of Mariupol. It's a key strategic area for the invaders, whose forces have it surrounded. Survivors being offered a bleak choice: leave now or stay and die. In a nearby town, Ukrainians managed to stop a Russian convoy. Ukrainians managed in a near choice: leave now or stay and die. In a nearby town, survivors being offered a bleak choice: leave now or stay and die. In a nearby town, Ukrainians managed to stop a Russian convoy. Undeterred by gunfire or the soldiers' frustration. Go home, fascists, the locals shouted. Are you going to shoot us peacefully?
Men, women, children are dying because a foreign leader decided that their country has no right to exist. And we will never, ever let that happen and never, ever accept that.
European Parliament heard a desperate plea from President Volodymyr Zelensky to let his country join the EU now.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom. Nobody's gonna break us. We're strong. We're Ukrainians.
heightened emotions too in Poland, as visiting UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was accused by a Ukrainian activist of not doing enough.
I see that my family members, my team members are saying that we are crying, and these are Ukrainian children who are there taking the hit.
Ukraine's largest paediatric hospital has been evacuated of its young patients, except those too sick to leave, despite the risk of nearby shelling and gunfire. This boy just underwent neurosurgery, while 5-year-old Rozwan needs 6 kidney treatments a day. His mother says she feels scared for her son. Partway through this interview, the air raid siren goes off. The rush to the basement begins, where children, parents and hospital staff shelter in dingy corridors. Hospital staff have been able to set up IV drips down here, and they've been able to supply medicine, mattresses and blankets, but when the time comes for these children to receive treatment that they can't get down here, that's when their parents must make a harrowing choice. 6-year-old Artemy's mother says when his kidney dialysis starts, it takes 5 hours and can't be stopped even when the air raid sirens go off. The treatment room is exposed and vulnerable. His mother saying we're choosing between the risk of attack and the risk of stopping a life-saving treatment. Of course it's dangerous, says the children's doctor, but we can't just stop if the rockets hit. Some of Ukraine's most vulnerable children thanking their soldiers for keeping them safe.
That's adding morale to the soldiers. They're making them feel a lot better about the situation.
And Karian and the team visited the site of the bombed TV tower in Kyiv as the sirens went off.
Well, behind me is the TV tower that was hit with this blast. As you can see, the damage stretches far beyond this tower. It goes right across the road, all the charred remains, the debris. As you can see, people are moving now, so we might have to leave as we go. But there's a building that's had its windows blown out. There's cabling that's been melted. I won't show you, but there's a body across the road as well. Russia had warned that it was about to attack communications structures. There are now fears there are more attacks to come.
Like a big black
Karian Greenbank and our news team. Well, Europe is bracing for millions more refugees as the fighting intensifies. Amelia Adams is in Lviv this evening for us. A key refuge for the displaced, Amelia.
Well, Peter, they've come from all around the country and many have experienced the full terror of the Russian assault. We've met mothers and children who've spent nights in bomb shelters and then said goodbye to their fathers, their husbands, to get to safety. And of course, so many are headed for the border. But there's also a growing number of Ukrainians gathering here, displaced but determined to remain in their home country and support the war effort.
A song of hope for whatever lies ahead. Volunteers making camouflage tank nets to send to the front line.
5 days ago, I was in Kyiv, living my successful life in my comfortable apartment.
24-year-old Stasia is a software engineer, now one of the displaced.
If things get a lot worse, I think I will need to do more, like probably help in hospitals or do something more like dangerous than this.
Their careers and futures uncertain. 9-year-old Max escaped bombing in the east. He says he's just happy to be safe.
A lot of the people here have fled the fighting in the capital and Kharkiv. They say it was too dangerous to stay there, but they are determined to stay in Ukraine and help in any way that they can.
They're mostly high school and university students, young professionals. But for many families, the fear and reality of Putin's army is too much. 6 days into war, the stream of mothers and children trying to get to the border is relentless. Ina hopes to board the next train to Poland with her 2 toddlers.
Anybody know if Russians and Ukraine speak the same language?
Her husband has stayed to fight. She says the children's safety is all that matters.
I think they do, because that's why
Their 9-year-old cousin Christine is smiling, but her mother has stayed back to volunteer. At the carriage doors, exhaustion and desperation boil over. Despite the jostling to get a seat, no one here really wants to leave.
There's just so little choice. It's a question of, you know, bombs or Poland.
And other neighbouring countries, including Hungary, Moldova and Slovakia. A total of 677,000 Ukrainians leaving the country in less than a week. The UN says half of those are children. In Lviv, Ukraine, Amelia Adams, 9 News.
Some of them will never see their parents again. They'll fight in the war and die. Or get captured or some shit. That shit senseless. Putin ass. I don't know how you the president and you want more. What more you want from me? You understand me? Oh, you got another message?
No, an exclusive interview which the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky gave to a couple of American news portals. He said that Russia must actually stop bombing Ukrainian cities before any meaningful talks of a ceasefire could actually start. Now, all of this has come after the first round of peace talks that failed to yield any kind of a breakthrough. Zelensky has further urged the NATO members to impose, or at least try to impose, a no-fly zone to stop the Russian Air Force, and has also demanded for legally binding security guarantees from Russia. Our next report gets you the details.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia must stop bombarding cities before meaningful ceasefire talks could begin after a first round of negotiations yielded little progress.
We are for dialogue, yes, but the least that must happen is the bombardment of people must stop. You simply have to stop the bombardment and then sit down behind the table for talks.
The 44-year-old Zelensky, unshaven and clad in a khaki t-shirt and combat boots, made the remarks in an exclusive interview Tuesday with Reuters and CNN in a heavily guarded government compound in Kyiv. Just as he was speaking, news emerged that a Russian missile had struck a TV tower in the Ukrainian capital, killing at least 5 people. Earlier that day, missiles struck the heart of the eastern city of Kharkiv. Ukraine is receiving weapons shipments from NATO members to help withstand a full-scale military invasion unleashed last week by Russian forces. The West has also introduced severe sanctions on the Russian economy. But Zelensky pressed the international community to do more, including imposing a no-fly zone over his country.
As far as a no-fly zone is concerned, it would have helped a lot. This is not about dragging NATO countries into war. The truth is, everyone has long since been dragged into war, and definitely not by Ukraine, but by Russia. A large-scale war is going on, and everybody thinks it would be over quickly. I talked to President Biden many times. I am very grateful to him for all the opportunities and the support, but they did not hear me. I told them that Ukraine will fight more than anyone else. But we, just by ourselves, left alone against Russia, we simply cannot manage.
But the White House says it is not willing to enforce a no-fly zone, which might put American service members in harm's way. Zelensky said that U.S. President Joe Biden had personally conveyed to him that now was not the time to introduce such a measure. President Zelensky has remained in Kyiv to rally his people against the Russian invasion, now in its 6th day, posting social media videos and constantly reassuring the population that neither he, his family, or closest officials have left.
Beyond is now available in your country. Download the app now. Beyond is now available.
Is constantly reassuring. Now in its 6th day, posting social.
That building right there looked like the building they blew up today, or I think today or yesterday. This is a video from like days ago that he took. But I think they blowing up there where they think he's taking
reassuring
videos
the population that neither he, his family, or closest officials have left.
Beyond is now available in your country. Download the app now and get.
He the heartbeat behind that shit. They like, if you gonna stay and fight, we gonna stay and fight. He the president, he's fighting shit. We might as well fight. It's a million of us all together. We just need the equipment. Our ass needs some drones and shit like that. Automatic weapons that know how to detect enemies. Some motherfucking landmines. Tank for the tanks. We need shit like that. While all them damn things been on the road waiting, I had IEDs lined up everywhere. Blue, blowing their ass up as soon as they get in them motherfuckers and pull up the road. Or wherever that's out of their sight. You should know that, don't you? They say reckless driving, they better deal with the reckless violence. Reckless driving. Russia got more work.
The checkmate from Russia could capture the American king and entire Chinese chessboard to the ground. The checkmate is a 5th-gen fighter that some would argue qualifies as 6th-gen instead. And with the lineup of futuristic tech on the fighter, that argument is a solid one. So in this video, we take a detailed look at this aircraft that has quickly reminded the world of the undeniable might of Russia. The checkmate, known officially as Su-75, is one aircraft Russia is crazy about. It was unveiled at the 2021 MAX Air Show, with presenters in earnest flight in 2023, with initial deliveries arriving between 2026 too. So what makes it so unique? Sukhoi threw an indirect verbal jab at Lockheed Martin when they announced that their 5th generation checkmate fighter could sustain supersonic flight far longer than the F-35 could, which is only about 50 seconds. Whether Lockheed Martin had no cheeky reply or was just not keen on joining the rap battle initiated by Sukhoi remains a mystery. But one thing remains certain. There isn't much they could have said in response. The checkmate has simply got it all.
That's why they call it.
It features the most powerful Russian jet engine ever produced. The NPO Saturn Izdeliye 30, which is the same engine found on the Su-57. This engine comes with 30% lower specific weight than its closest rival, the AL-41F1, making it 18% more effective, with an estimated thrust of 24,000 pounds dry and 38,600 pounds with afterburner. And there's more wonder in store from this engine. It has thrust vectoring capabilities. This means the engine can rotate significantly enough to simultaneously control both the horizontal and vertical direction of the jet. The result of this is a fighter capable of 8G maneuvers, switching direction in a fraction of a second to dance circles around the opposition, as if to offer a complimentary show before taking them out of the sky. And combined with being fitted on a light to medium weight aircraft, the Saturn Izdeliye 30 engine can get the fighter off the runway in a short time, at an even shorter distance since its vectoring engine can provide upward thrusts the second it hits the asphalt. And then there's the stealth. Good old stealth to make an aircraft virtually invisible in the sky. The checkmate takes this to new heights, literally, as a major part of its stealth capabilities is flying high enough to evade radars that don't have the most impressive range. The jet is capable of flying higher than 40,000 feet, 14% higher than the standard flying altitude of the highly efficient Boeing 747. The stealth of the checkmate fighter is then amplified by a hybrid wing body, a V-shaped tail for suitable cross-sectional area, internal weapons bay to shield easy-to-spot weapons, and finally, an improved jet engine intake with lighter mechanical systems. In addition to these, the fighter can do some detective activity of its own with its ultra-sensitive, low probability of intercept LPI radar. The checkmate also boasts of a 1,700-mile range in one go, meaning it can go 1/5 around the world without having to refuel, potentially signaling that the aircraft carriers might not be the top priority for Russia. And evasive as it is, the checkmate is also an offensive damage. And evasive as it is, the checkmate also boasts of a 1,700-mile range in one go, meaning it can go 1/5 around the world without having to refuel, potentially signaling that the aircraft carriers might not be the top priority for Russia. And evasive as it is, the checkmate is also an offensive damage-dealing machine. The fighter can stomach up to 7 tons of guided and unguided munitions with a balanced diet of air-to-air, air-to-ground, and anti-ship missiles. And as a result, can engage and destroy 6 targets at once. In addition to its brute and defensive capabilities, the Checkmate, like its name loosely hints, is an intelligent machine. It can share data on the go with other fighter jets on its team. This keeps every member on the Russian fleet in action abreast of the whole battlefield situation in detail. As intelligence has, over the century, proven to give it an advantage to whichever side wields it, these data-sharing capabilities give Russia some leverage over virtually every other country but the United States, which has similar intelligence capabilities in the F-35. But Russia takes this one lead-all tactic to new depths. Their fighter will come in manned and unmanned versions, opening up the possibility to have one manned Checkmate controlling several unmanned versions in battle, significantly cutting down on casualty rates. The Checkmate is clearly taking up the heavy mantle of being in the front lines of conflict, and its physical size proves it can handle the weight. The fighter has a large tank to hold sufficient fuel to bring its proposed impossible range to reality, a major selling point for the fighter, seeing as foreign countries, including India, Argentina, and Vietnam, are already showing interest in spending some huge numbers to acquire the aircraft. For an aircraft with its price tag, the Checkmate is looking like an unreal task that would be impossible to believe if it hadn't already proven itself at the Vladimir Putin-graced air show. Surely, news of the fighter has entered US borders and roundtable talks concerning Russia's intentions, and most likely talks are underway to determine how to best respond to a powerful 5th-generation fighter capable of tilting the scales in Russia's favor. The US military is known for having the best responses to potential threats, and they're not about to disappoint. They have some game-changing technologies of their own to unveil. Northrop Grumman has been developing the 6th-generation American fighter jet in the Next Generation Air Dominance, or NGAD, program, which on paper seems to be able to take on any challenge thrown at it. The US Air Force and Navy have separate NGAD programs of their own, but with the same goal, to develop a 6th-generation family of systems fit for whatever mission, manned or unmanned. But recognizing that the 6th generation of systems is still years away, the US is also ensuring that its 5th-generation fighters aren't losing global air superiority to the competition. The first 5th-generation fighter in the world, the F-22 Raptor, is being upgraded to match today's battle requirements. This was made clear when an F-22 was captured by aviation photographer Santos Caceres, taking to the skies in Nevada in November 2021. The fighter was covered in a tile-like reflective metallic coating that is unlike anything ever seen before on an F-22. A new skin would quite often relate to massive changes in an aircraft, since the stealth capabilities of modern aircraft are directly dependent on how many radar waves they can bounce off or capture in it. In terms of weapons upgrades, it wouldn't be a shock to see the upgraded F-22s featuring laser-directed energy weapons, as the US seems to be making waves in that department too. One that focuses on developing both weapons and tracking systems. They're currently in the early stages of testing, but with 3 of the world's most powerful weapons development companies, Lockheed, Boeing, and Northrop, teaming up to get them up and running, it seems only a matter of time before these modern weapons are fielded by the Air Force and Navy. And there's more from the United States. General Atomics is also testing its Avenger unmanned combat drone, equipped with a Lockheed Martin Legion pod, capable of autonomously tracking aircraft and taking aim at them, which is sure to counter the high maneuverability of the Russian Checkmate. The tests have been taking place over the Mojave Desert in partnership with Skyborg Artificial Intelligence Initiative for more advanced testing as 60 to make that Checkmate fighter hope. Russia or China?
It's gonna get crucial like conflict. There's no Babberton in my Rapperton. Shit gonna be good neck.
And dictators will pay a price.
Russian
To say his Russian counterpart has badly miscalculated in waging war on Ukraine, and dictators will pay a price.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions.
Shut up.
This invasion have died already. They estimate about 352 civilians have died. Dozens of...
So this here looked like the building that he was standing behind. They did that first video, or the second video, I think it was the second one, to let them know that he ain't ran nowhere. This looked like the same building. Know what I mean?
Of civilians throughout the course of this invasion have died already. They estimate about 352 civilians have died, which is incredibly sad. Of course, the real number could be much higher. Today, when those paratroopers landed, when they targeted what we believe to be a police station and also that hospital, the mayor of that city has said that Russian troops surrendered their weapons, that they were able to claim some tanks, and it feels as if this whole Russian offensive isn't quite going the way that Moscow has planned, that they've underestimated the
Ukraine under the guise of being separatists. So for 8 years he has been biding his time.
What does this do? Oh, I thought I fucked around and fucked around with the fuck around. Yeah, man, but we're about to get out this is ding. Make sure y'all follow the squad. Trial Paralegal Regina, Cartier Vision ENT, Oracle Spiritual Tarot Bay, Queen Hannah Montana. The whole game, not just the slow game, we do the whole thing. What else? Mike, Dale. Shout out to all y'all, man. Follow them too, man. Whoever trying to make content, follow them. Mr. Chelsea, appreciate you coming out, Joanna, everybody. Now that I mean, Carter Kemp, what it do? Texas, what it do? You know what I mean? Trolls, what it do? We out this thing, man.